record. There we go. Hey, good morning, everybody. It is your head misfit here, Sean Murphy. I appreciate everybody joining us this morning. It is June 7th, 6th. No, I got the wrong date there. Did I even update it? I'll have to look at that. It's the 7th. I think it's the 471. Anyways, good morning. It's Sunday. I appreciate everyone being here. We had an amazing conversation yesterday with Dr. Amy. If you were on yesterday with Dr. Amy and you got some amazing, just good stuff, drop an A in the chat. Drop an A in the chat. Yeah, Dr. Amy was awesome. And I talked with her afterwards because we're in a mastermind together. So we're good friends. And I was talking with her afterwards, and she said, I just absolutely loved that community. What an amazing group of souls. I said, yeah, I know. And I'm lucky enough to be a part of their group. So I say all of that. Yeah, we're going to get started here. Rhonda, how's your signal out there in East Texas?
I think it's all right. Does it sound okay?
It sounds great. And I love the birds and all of the chirping. I'll watch the chat for just a second. If you would like to give us a nice Sunday morning blessing for all.
I would love to. I'd love to. Let me pray. Father, thank you so much for today. Thank you for this place together to bring our hearts together. Father, you put it on my heart all morning to stand against anything that divides us, anything that tries to divide and conquer us. Anything that tries to pull our hearts from each other and pull our love from each other for each other. Father, I ask right now that you just guard and protect this conversation and every person that's here that's on it. Protect our ears, protect our thoughts, protect our mouths. Help us to hear what it is we need to hear from each and every one of us. Protect what Sean has to say. Guide his thoughts. Guide each one of our thoughts and everyone that speaks today on the call. Help us to speak life and life-giving words. Help us to speak words of unity and love, of your joy, of your kindness, of a supernatural peace that's only gained through you and through your word. Father, thank you for these times as it brings us closer to each other and helps us reach out to each other in a total different way than we have. And it takes us out of ourselves and helps us realize that you've put us here for a reason, for such a time as this. Thank you for coming before us. Thank you for going behind us. Thank you for your leadership and your guidance. Thank you for your precious word. And thank you for your safe place to hide in you, Father. You are our rock and you are our salvation. And it's in you we trust. And I thank you for this moment. Be with this call in every household that's represented here. And we give you the glory and the honor in the precious name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Rhonda. We're going to go right to hands. Hey, good morning, Britnee.
Hi.
Good morning.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So, hi. So, I'm on my last day in Chicago. I've been here for about 2 weeks. And I realized something. I've had a couple of, just a couple of realizations. And the largest one, this is gonna be crazy. Okay, so because okay, I don't never know how to frame stuff. I gotta start practicing and stuff. Okay, so I was at my mom's, and my mom is like my largest challenge, obviously, and during my stay there, we didn't encounter each other that much physically because she works a lot. She was at work from like 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. And I kind of just reflected because, the little conversations that we did have were extremely negatively charged and they were led by her. And, I just had to be so grateful, just very, very grateful for the work that I've put in on myself. Every day on my gratitude list, I write, "Today I leave in my heart and not my head." And I love that. And I say, I'm grateful for my circle of influence, and I am unbothered by those that are outside of it. So I noticed that, but I also noticed that, you know, us here in this community, those that are on their own personal spiritual development journey or whatever it shall be, we encounter a lot of mm, we encounter a lot of negativity, not because of us, but because of them, right? I realized that a lot of the things that she was saying to me out of anger and frustration, it had nothing to do with me. It had everything to do with her being trapped in her own mental prison. And you brought that up. Uh, it wasn't yesterday, but like 2 days ago with Heather. Um, and sometimes a lot of people that are going through that, they're just looking for someone to dump all of their stuff on because they feel so stuck. They're living and they're perpetuating their own hell here, because to me, hell is mental, because if, thoughts are things and stuff like that, if they think negatively, I sat and I watched her, and I watched her daily habits and how she cared for herself, or the lack thereof, the things she ate, right? And it kind of just all tied together. And I was like, okay, so I can understand, because she has very, very, very poor eating habits, right? And I'm like, okay, when people have poor eating habits and they're consuming things that aren't good for their body, that also affects their moods. That also affects their energy. And because she has poor eating habits, she doesn't have a lot of energy. And because she doesn't have a lot of energy, she's always feeling drained and she's always feeling tired. And she runs her own business. So she's able to construct her own schedule, but she doesn't feel like she's in control of that, because she didn't construct her schedule so that it allows her time for personal time, and just to take care of the responsibility and things that she had. And because what it is that I do for a living, it looks like I have all of the time, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that upset her.
Mm-hmm.
That pissed her off beyond belief, because it was like, how are you able to sit here, enjoy on the couch, basically, because I was just sitting in the house. How are you able to sit here, wake up every morning early? I wake up, we were like waking up at the same time. You're
Mm-hmm.
able to wake up in the morning, open the blinds, smile, stretch, drink water, drink tea, make a smoothie, sit back on the couch and sit on the couch all day and just be happy with yourself, right? While I'm getting up in the morning, busting my ass, going to work, doing client after client, coming home. I don't got time to do nothing. I can't do nothing. I can't do this, can't do that. And I'm pissed off. And I was just like, this is the life that I've created for myself. You have the ability to also create this life for yourself. And I think that a lot of people don't understand that.
But
And
but does she?
she can't possibly, because if she did, would she not? If you know better, don't you do better?
Exactly. So, first of all, thousands of applauses and standing ovations for you becoming the observer.
Man.
You have become the reporter of this situation. And this is why you can talk about it in the level that you're talking about it. Common sense, rational dialogue about a situation that if you were the daughter telling me, you'd be in a rage.
Mm-hmm.
So congratulations on stepping into the observer. Not an easy thing. Now, the other part is that mom can't change anything until mom wants to change something.
Yeah.
This is the addict.
Yeah.
And when the addict says, I need help, great. Are you willing to take the first step? And that's where the addict can't. That's why everybody always says, until they hit rock bottom, they can't. And I love that you said, you learned, you heard, you witnessed. She can only talk from where from where her education allows her, from where her experience allows her. And her frustration is, yes, I would love to do what you do. But that frustration can only be theirs if they're not willing to say, can you teach me to do what you do?
Yeah. Because what I noticed was that, for the majority of the time, the way that I'm talking now is kind of the way that and it's crazy because I had a conversation with her. Sorry, I know this stuff be so lengthy, y'all. But I had a conversation with her, and I woke up one day and I was like, what I've learned? I said, the most important thing that I've learned from doing personal development was gratitude. I said, because I realized as I've gone through this journey that I had a very strong sense of entitlement and lack of appreciation for the things and the people that were in my life.
So keep your train of thought. I want to touch on something. Keep your train of thought. You got it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, because it's important. I would encourage you to say what it is you actually did. You went from learning gratitude and you listed a whole things that you were currently doing. Fair enough?
Yeah.
You did go through undevelopment. This is why we get so confused and we get lost in our own journey.
Oh, wait until you hear to what I was about to say next.
Okay, go ahead.
And so I told her, and I said, as I went through this process, and I said, and being here with you, it just showed me where I got that from. And I'm so glad that I don't exist like that anymore, because if the way that you just made me feel is how I made other people feel, I'm very grateful for my progress. And I would like to thank you for showing me that. Like, I'm just so grateful that I am just not like that anymore, because it made me feel so bad. Like, and I was like, oh my God, how dare I have ever in my life made somebody feel that way, So I was like, wow. And that's really undevelopment, because that was the environment that I grew up in all my life. And that's learned negative behavior.
Well, let's just say it's learned behavior. Let's not beat ourselves up for it, because it's only negative in comparison. Then it was positive because that was the only way you did it. So it was a learned behavior that didn't serve well. Don't add any good or bad to it.
Right.
Because that makes you less than. You're this amazing human being who sits before us on this journey, realizing, coming to an awakening, being as close as your skin to the answers you've just experienced, And then the transition of being the reporter going, rather than you the one feeling bad, realizing, did I ever pass that energy along to somebody else? And now there is no blame in this whole journey.
Oh, good.
Because you can't, because here's the hard part. Blame can now be placed because now you know a difference, not the difference, not the difference, a better way. You know a difference. And guess what you now have every moment? A choice.
Absolutely.
And that's the huge part, Britnee, that you just, as you sat there on the couch and you heard that, you heard it with what Covey says, the intent to understand, then to be understood, not the intent to defend.
And it's crazy because every time I would say something to her, she would like go in. Well, she's always been very, very defensive. And I told her, I said, hey, you don't have to explain to me. I don't want you to feel like you have to explain yourself because you don't. You know, I'm just here to offer you some reprieve. You know, I'm not the enemy here. But because she was so, she has things that she's attached to that existed before I was even born, you know, and she's carried those things around with her all, she's 53 or something like that. I don't know. 67, 1967.
Oh, that's 53, 67, who knows?
No, she was born in 1967. So I think she's like 53. Her birthday's coming up. But and I could hear it every time she spoke because she brought up, like, after I said that thing about gratitude and entitlement, her response, I was like, okay, yeah, no, we can't even have this conversation. I was like, we're not even about to be able to have this conversation because she started talking about something that I probably did when I was like 8 years old that I have no, I'm like, I have no remembrance of that thing. You took this dress from me, like, and I'm just like, what the hell are you talking about, lady? Like, that's something I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? And I told her, I said, you know.
So because you listen, you will encounter these conversations with future people. And what I mean by that is where you have no clue of what they're talking about. I would encourage you to say, you know, I'd love to hear more about that so I can understand it better. I'm throwing it out because what happened was, we're not having this conversation. That's a conversation you want to dive into. And again, now you still have to be the reporter, because what happened with your response is you went from being the reporter to being the one being reported on. I'm helping you through a mentor moment here so that you can see how you transition back and forth into these people, into these entities, into these mindsets. She started talking about something when I was 8 years old, and I'm like, oh, we ain't having this conversation. No. Oh, let me go. I need another notepad. Let's go.
Well, I didn't shut the conversation
No.
off,
I'm just saying, as you go through this, as you move forward,
right.
because this is a huge development. I'm sitting here about ready to burst into tears because I'm like, oh, my baby's growing up.
For sure.
So continue.
Sure. Yeah, so she brought that thing up, and I told her, I said, you know, there are things that you're holding on to and that really affected you from a long time ago. And because you've never discussed it or released it, you're still holding on to them today. They still affect you today. And she's like, no, they're not. And I'm just like, if they weren't, you wouldn't be bringing them up. Like, you wouldn't be bringing them up. And then What it's something that you say to me all the time. Something about how
I'm going to
you
plead
can
the fifth and say it's I love you.
well, one that is when we have our more um, louder moments. But it's something about how, like, if I say something and you like, no, the hell, you are lying straight out your mouth. You know what I'm saying? Like, and
Was that a recording of me? Nah, you lying straight the hell out your mouth.
you lie right through your teeth, like, you know. But it's something like that. And I was just sitting there, I'm just really sitting there, like, wow, you know, like, am I'm really, well, I've always been on this journey to understand her more, or not understand her more, but get to the root of the source of her pain, because she doesn't love herself, and it's very obvious. And it's crazy because when I first started this call, you was like, Britnee, you don't love yourself, you insecure. And I'm like, yes, I do. You was like, no, you don't. And I was like, okay. But now I can see how we show every day if we do or we don't through the choices or the decisions that we make. And now, you know, existing in that love for self allows you to exist in that love for other people. And I was just thinking about that today with relationships, right? And it's like, I love you all the time, but I love you even more through the challenging times, because now I have to love you for the parts of you that don't love you, to get you to you know what I'm saying, take you back.
Put that on a t-shirt.
I'm gonna copyright it.
I need to love you for the parts that you don't love.
Yeah, you know, and I would get on these calls every day, and she's like, you get on those calls every day, they brainwashing you. And I'm like, have you ever actually?
The
I was
answer
like,
is absolutely yes, we are.
I mean, sure, whatever. I don't care. But I asked her, I was like, hey, like, we was on there. I was like, hey, did you hear what he just said? And she was like, no, I'm not paying attention. So I was like, well, how can you say that they're brainwashing me? Okay, cool, whatever. You know? And I was just like, wow, misery truly loves company. It really does. And it's also something else that I realized, because I grew up in the house, as I told people before, but if you're new to the call, I grew up in the house with my grandmother and my mother and then me. So 3 generations of Black women. And my grandmother harbored, you know, pain, anguish within her, which was transmuted into, I don't even know if that's the right word that I want to use, but into the interactions that we had, that she had with my mother, which was attempted to be passed down to me. But since birth, since childhood, I can specifically remember, I was like, I don't know what this is. I'm not meant for this, you know? And now it's like, and even when I was a child, I was like, what am I meant to be the catalyst to switch all of this around? You know, because I just never vibed with it. I just never vibed with it. It was all, even though I existed in it, it just was never, I never got it. But I did absorb it, because obviously there were things or ways that I used to act that just didn't put people in joy. And I was thinking about that all weekend, even the way that that I talk to people. And remember, I was talking about this before. I was saying something like, you were saying, I was saying, I'm genuine. And you were like, are you? So I was thinking about the way that I speak to people, and allowing people to feel how I feel when I speak, regardless of not necessarily the language, but like, like to be able to have people pay more attention to the message and the intent versus the delivery. But I'm like, damn, you kind of gotta structure, like, just before you say stuff, think before you speak is a real thing. Like, it's a real thing. And I'm just like, okay, so before you say, what is it that you actually want to say? And I've been using, I'm like, okay, what is it that you actually want to say? Okay, that's what you want to say. How do you want them to feel after you say these things that you want to, after you know, to convey your message? How do you want them to feel? Okay, even if it's something challenging, let's just take back Bakumi speaking to you. Sean, I want you to, she's like, okay, this is how I feel. And I want Sean to know how I feel, but I also don't want Sean to be pissed off. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to offend him. I don't want to disrespect him with what it is that I say. So I go through these phases. Okay, this is how I feel. This is how I want to convey it. But this is how I want them to feel. I want them to feel enjoy at all times, regardless of what I have to say. Nice or mean, you know? And then I put the words together, because we all have that ability to put words together to frame them. And I talk to this, I just be out here telling my whole life story. Obviously, I need a journal, but
And Britnee, I wanted to
I just be going through it.
keep your thought. You got your thought?
Yes.
The challenges and one of the levels of growth that we will all continue to be exposed to is that we can set it up in such a way that we want them to be to receive the message with joy.
Mm-hmm.
That's the being responsible to them. That's
absolutely.
But what if Bakumi said to me, Sean, I'm angry and I don't think you understand. What if all of a sudden I snapped and all of the bullshit that I've been teaching went right out the window, and I made it all a farce, and I went, well, that's absolutely idiotic.
Well, this is the thing. I thought about that.
Does that change you? Does that change Bakumi?
No, and it doesn't, because
but it usually does for those who are tiptoeing around the edge of the well of whether I'm responsible to you or for you. If I'm responsible to you, I'm in the well. You can't hurt me. I'm in the well. Jump in the well with me. We'll have a conversation.
As long as I did my part.
Yes. And
right.
And that's the challenge, is that when I do my part and I want you to do yours.
And if you don't, it has nothing to do with me.
That's when we can have a dialogue.
That is when we can have a dialogue.
Oh my gosh. Did you eat something? I want to know the food you had. I want to know what you ate for the last 48 hours.
I literally woke up I'm on Central Standard Time, so I woke up at 8:30. So I was still asleep until you was like, okay. And I was like, let me raise my hand. You know, but it's just, for some reason, I feel like every time I travel, I gain a new experience, which is probably why I travel so much, because I know that there are things that I don't know, and I get to experience things, and I get to go and learn and come back. This is my comeback.
Okay, hang on. Do you know Joseph Campbell? A Hero's Journey?
No.
Okay. So you and I are more connected than you know. So yesterday I dove back into Joseph Campbell, The Hero's Journey. And what you just described is every step of a hero's journey. You have to depart. Moses going up the side of the mountain. He left as Moses. He went up the side of the mountain to go get the tablets into the unknown. He came back and he delivered the message. That's what you just said. That is the definition of a hero's journey. I travel. And here's the thing. This was going to be the whole presentation this morning, Britnee. And I'm so glad it happened in raw and real, because when a hero's journey has to take place, they asked Joseph Campbell in 1967, 68, maybe, interview, can anybody go with the hero? He says, if you have people to go along with you, that's fine. He says, but at the moment of choice, that decision, the act of becoming the hero is always done in solitude.
Mm-hmm.
You have all of us. You have every experience you've ever had prior to the moment you made the decision to become your heroine. That act always has to be done by you. Every one of you listening, every time you reach that point, every time you reach that place, it is the abyss. And you have to decide which way you're going to go. And in the abyss, you have no idea. But that act can only be done by oneself. And you have immortalized it, you have personalized it, and you have shown without prior knowledge to say, I'm going to go do this. You just proved the hero's journey you've been on. And it's the same time anyone has broken through. Anne, Michelle, Gigi, Bakumi, everyone sat in their own place to make that one decision that gave them their freedom back. Ugh, this is amazing.
That was an amazing sound.
This is what, so now that you know the other side of that, you kind of crossed over, right? Now you can recognize the freedom. See, when you sat and you watched Gigi or Michelle or this, and you're like, what the hell is the difference? I'm there. But you were on the other side of the glass. You could see it, but boy, things have a little bit different fragrance to them. They seem
that's crazy that you say that, because remember, it's like it's crazy that you say that, because remember I came on here last time and I was like, I fell off the horse, but I got on backwards, but it was still time, things I must experience to turn me back around. Right. And set me straight, to put me back on, or to reassure me that I'm on the right path. Mm-hmm. Like I literally came to Chicago out of just pure impulse. My friend was like, I'm bored, it's quarantine, we ain't doing nothing, let's do something. I was like, okay, I'll come to Chicago. And I was only supposed to be here for 2-3 days. And I was like, I'm going to just go to my mama's house. I was like, I'm going to just go to my mama's house because it ain't nothing else to do. And then all the other stuff started breaking out. And I was like, okay, I don't want to travel right now. So I'm just going to be here. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to spend all this time alone because she was gone. And divine orchestration, I tell you, man, it's crazy. So this was the time, things I must experience, that I needed to say, okay. And yesterday I had this great big wave of confidence. It wasn't confidence. No, it wasn't confidence. I don't know what to call it. But yesterday I was like, because 2 weeks ago, my friend asked me, because I was so close to the next rank in my business, so close. And I was like, it's so close, yet it's so far. And he asked me, he said, are you personally developed enough to reach that next rank? And yesterday I sat on that. And yesterday I was like, I can truly say that I am ready for my next level. And not in my business, not through accomplishments, but because of what I've freed myself from and wiped my eyes from all of this mess, and even during this time of worldwide, like not even just the Black Lives Matter movement, because obviously I've been dealing with that my whole life. But the combination of COVID plus the combination of the Black anguish and pain. And this is the first time that I did not feel guilty for being in joy. Remember, I said before, I was getting my nails done when I was a little kid, and I know that people were dying, and I felt bad. I felt guilty for that. But this time, I didn't feel guilty. I was not guilty. I was like, okay, people that look just like me are losing their lives. And I don't feel guilty for knowing what I know, being in the career that I'm in, or, people were trying to guilt people for not saying things on their social media or their public platform. And I didn't feel bad about none of that, because I knew what I knew could create a solution. And I knew that I needed my life to be here for somebody else, and I was like, I'm ready, really, really ready. And I can say out of my mouth that I'm ready for the next level. And I was like, dang, that feels good, because I was having a debate with my friend. And here I go, just talking. But I was having a debate with my friend about being ready. We were talking about it in the sense of relationships, right? She was like, people say that they're ready for a relationship, and then they get in the relationship and they realize they're not ready. And I was like, that means that they never ready. She was like, what if they had the illusion that they were ready? I said, no, there is no illusion that you're ready. I said, when you're walking out the door, you can't say I'm ready until you're walking out the door. You can't say I'm ready, but don't have your shoes on, don't have your pants on, don't have your jacket on. That is yourself creating the illusion and tricking yourself to say I'm ready. But when you're ready, because you're already in motion. And so I was like, yesterday I did a whole bunch of things that I had never did before within my business. Well, for the past couple of days, I was doing things that I had never did before within my business. And I was like, you know what? I'm ready, because I'm already doing these things. I'm not bitching about them. I'm existing as my higher self, as my future self, as the path that I want to take. So I am ready. You know what I'm saying? I have to already be in motion to say that I'm ready. I'm already galloping on the horse. Does that make sense?
Britnee, it makes more sense than maybe even you realize, because ready is the decision. Ready doesn't become true until action takes place. And too many
Right.
people are sitting saying, I'm ready, right? It's why they say, a boat wasn't made to be tied up at port. And when is the boat at sea? The second it unties. It may take it 2 hours to get out of port, but it is in motion. It is now at sea. It is underway.
Right.
And in the readiness is at the frontier. And at the frontier, being ready means you're going to step into the unknown, which means unlimited possibility.
Whew, and Sean, like, I've been doing things like, phew, I was like, I'm doing this. This is crazy. But it wasn't about me. It was the drive that I had to help other people so passionately. I was like, I don't give a F. I was like, this is what I gotta do. I just gotta do it. You just gotta do it, because God damn it, ain't nobody else gonna do it. If you want something done right, you gotta do it yourself. So it's like it was like the root of me plus the new me. It's like, girl, you gotta just do it.
So Britnee, here's a tough question. You were part of a herd mentality, and you've now stepped out onto your own, right? You, in this hero's journey, you have stepped out. The herd mentality might have been mom, grandma, and every other woman who had a strong woman in their life that has kept them in a place. Up, down, sideways, doesn't matter. You had to step away from the herd mentality. How scary was that? Where did the strength come from to go, you know what? Y'all got me here, but what got me here can't get me out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you decide not to listen to anybody else? Because no matter the words I put in, listen, your mom has put in a lot more words into you than I have. Your mom has put in a lot more words to you than Rhonda has, or anyone on this call has.
Mm-hmm.
To step away from them, to step away from us, because that's why we sit here in awe, is because you left and you're not, and you have come back. That's what you said. That's the definition of a hero's journey: to leave, learn, and come back. And the next time you're going to go on the journey could be this afternoon. To leave, learn, and come back. You can't do this in a herd. So what strength, what awareness, how often, and maybe you haven't, and you'll now know it the next time, how often did you realize you were solo in this?
Through this specifically, or my whole entire
No,
life?
this one. No, your whole entire life, you can be in a room with 1,000 people and still be alone. This was a time you were alone and alone. Different, totally different understand. Otherwise, you wouldn't have kept going. Because you've been alone in your life before and been pissed off. You were alone in this, and you come back in joy. So let's not confuse the two. They're similar, but two totally different worlds. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Listen, anybody who's been here, for those of you that are wondering, wait a minute, how are Sean and Britnee having a secret code conversation that I don't understand? It's because we can.
I'm the only person that Sean yells at on here, y'all.
Well, I say it to you in a way that you hear it. Other people have different receivers in their head. But I want you to think about, did you recognize at all the sheer aloneness of what you're doing?
But I don't want to force words. So I'm just going to say, if it's not a solid yes, it's a no. So I'm going to say no.
And so now, because of this dialogue, as you sat there on the couch,
Now my gears are turning.
there was nobody else there but you. And who's the one that decided to not the 1,001 other times snap back at mom, or shut her off, or tell her in your own mind, listen, you're nuts. This ain't happening anymore. And you shut down. You chose not to shut down. A part of you said your back got stronger. Your soft got front. Your front got softer.
Whoa. You know what, too? It was one of those days that in my meditation, and I came on here to talk about it, but I think time ran up. This is interesting. My favorite words. Because I was meditating and I was scanning my body, but I could not find my heart. You know, I was scared, and I was trying to visualize it. I was like, I don't see it. I was like, I don't see it, Sean. What does this mean? I don't know. And so I was like, you know what? Let me scan over again. I'm like, okay, head, eyes, nose, mouth, heart. Where are you? I was like, why can I visualize this thing? I was like, I can't visualize this thing. Maybe it was under repair at the shop or something, but now it's back. I don't know.
Well, so let's take the hero's journey. Was it gone, or was it hidden?
Right.
And who hid it? Not the searcher. The searcher never hides anything. The searcher is in search of. It chooses not to hide it. Now, if the searcher is not the true searcher, then it'll never find anything. But you were able to find something.
Have you ever seen Shutter's Island?
I have not.
Damn it. Okay.
Is that, I take it that's a movie, or?
It's a movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, and basically he's an insane man. for lack of better words. And he he murdered his family, but he's under the delusion that he didn't. So he created this whole scenario where he's the detective searching for the murderer, but the whole time he's the murderer. And what you just said, that kind of reminded me, it's like my head hid my heart.
Oh, absolutely. And it just showed up.
Yeah, because the head was like, okay, it finally makes sense. Here you go. I get it now. You're cool. I thought you were about to do that thing that you usually do again.
So watch this. You want to have another like freeing moment and realize how deep
Well,
it is.
my mind, yes.
The second that you realized sitting on the couch what was happening, you're how old? 26?
9.
9? For 29 years, all of that was hidden from you until you sat on the couch that morning or that evening. That had been hidden from you. What you became aware of had been hidden from you. And that's why there's this freeing, because you know how big the hands had to be over your eyes? This is all of us. This is the undevelopment. This is why I sit in glory and in joy and in honor of moments like this, of sitting through the, we'll say it again, we'll say it again, we'll say it again, we'll say it again. The key is, can I figure out, do I have the patience to figure out the code that unlocks you for you? This journey that you were on was an awakening of you to you, not you to me. That you to me happens every day when we sit here and have a conversation and you're like, he pushes buttons, but I don't know. For some reason, it's okay.
Wow.
But I push the buttons until, listen, honestly, you don't ever have to come back to this call.
No, honestly, I thought the last time you said something to me, and you was like, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. I was like, how dare he? And I was pissed. I texted Rhonda. I was like, Rhonda, I'm pissed. He dismissed me. How dare he just dismiss me? You know? And I was like, I could not show up to the calls. And I was like, but Sean, Sean's not even the type of person to do that to, because he comes like, oh, and then like you're just gonna be even more mad about it. Like, cause like, I was like, what damage would I do? I'll only be hurting myself to not show up. Like, so why would you do that to yourself? You're just gonna have to take it, because at the end of the day, he was saying what you needed to hear, because if you don't change the way you look at things, why are you here? Why are you here? And I was just like, nah, I don't want to do it. Right. And then he was like, well, I want to talk to you. And I was like, well, I guess in order to get Sean to talk to me again, I'm going to have to look at things differently. So
here's
to look at things
here's
differently.
the growth. Here's the growth. The one that sits before me, the mindset that sits before me, was not the one dismissed. You now know that.
That's why I said I had to go and start looking at things different in order for Sean to talk to me, because for the next couple of times you didn't pick on my hand. And I was like, oh my God, am I being punished? But I wasn't ready.
Right.
I wasn't ready. So I probably would have got on here and said some stupid stuff, and you'd have been like, oh, see, I know I should have picked on you.
Britnee, listen, I hope people are hearing it with the intent to understand, because as you have sat here, and when you had this conversation back in March, and then Michelle has her awakening in May 2nd, and then there's a part of you that sat and went, wait a minute, I triggered that. Why the hell aren't I free yet?
Yeah.
And Michelle's like, you haven't let it go. And you're like, God, somebody tell me to let something else go one more time. Just say it one more time. Just tell me. I can sit here and I can be kind, but while I'm being kind, that sound you hear in the back.
You're right.
You know, it's like Kung Fu Panda. They say if you look at it, you'll get oh, the sword is so sharp.
Yeah.
So I would encourage you to do some things today that are reward to you. And I hope you sharing this story. And now I also need you to hear this. You have been the most vulnerable you have ever been in this moment.
Oh, yay. That's good.
Well,
That was
I
a
need you to
challenge.
hear that because there's no tears. And we think vulnerability is when I tell you a story, I don't want anybody to know. We all know everybody's got a story about some kind of whacked ass stuff.
Yeah.
And we're going to sit through it. And that's why we can fall in love with you and go, oh, well, if I ever told you my story, everybody's story is their own story.
Hmm.
But the true test of a leader is to say, I thought I was there and I wasn't. Every day I wake up and I sit in that place. Now I've been doing it for 30 years. You finally get okay at going, I have no idea what the hell is going to happen today. And I'm going to sit in joy and pay attention to the vibration. See, you said earlier, I never vibed with it. You didn't say, I never really paid attention to all of the facts. And I was comparing the pros and the cons of this dialogue with my deliverer to this planet. What? I never vibed with it. Yet we want to spend all of our time learning a script for our business. Do you think you really ever need a script anymore now?
Do you want to know what else is crazy?
I was going to say the word, you know what else is funny?
Because this morning I was going over in my head and I was like, I'm so blessed to be in the business that I'm in because I don't have to pretend to be anybody else to be successful. All of the things that that make us feel incapable, invaluable, unworthy, if we don't do those things, go to school, get a job, blah, 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 blah. You do all those things and you're going to get there. And you may find yourself doing all the things and not getting there. So it makes you feel, I'm not, but I am. Why? Because I can still do these things while still being myself, while still telling my story. My story equals my success. Your story equals your success. It does not all have to look the same, but your story looks like that. My story looks like this. But through that story, we all gained similar values, and the success equals love for self and others. And on top of that, love will come to you.
Now, hang
The law
on
of
to
ease
whatever
addition.
you're going to say next. Pay attention to where you're at, because here's what just happened. What you said was absolutely wildly inspirational.
Yay.
Follow me on this, Britnee. I'm going to speak to you as a mentor now, and as somebody who has crossed over. Your level of frustration that you're about to ensue could be potentially 10 times more than the frustration you had trying to get out. Let me speak.
I bet.
I'm going to speak to you because now that answer told me you are seeing it. And here's what you are seeing. You are now in the 3% group. And you're going to be teaching 97%ers.
Yes.
And they can't hear it.
No.
This is what happens with everybody who achieves success. That first taste of success, they run off and want to go save the world, and they want to tell them the hows and find their why. That's the biggest crock of crap. Find your why. I found my why. You haven't even found your why. You are in the discovery of the first line of the W.
Yep.
And what happens is, and people who have this awakening want to tell everybody, oh my God, it's so easy.
Open your eyes.
Yeah, find it. Oh my gosh, you're so close. You're right there. Just go do this, this, and this. And they try to go do this, this, and this in Spanish, and you told it to them in Hungarian. And they're like, "This no work for me." It never works for anybody. Everybody has to go on the hero's journey.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is why herd mentality will never solve anything. This is why your typical education system is herd mentality. This is why TV programming is herd mentality. This is why we have so many people buy books and 80% are never read or opened. Because we have to find somebody who will inspire us to take the journey into the abyss. To sit there and here's the funny thing, Britnee, when you sat there and you became the observer, did you sit down going, you know, the next conversation I'm having with Mom, I'm turning him into the GD observer? Right? You didn't have that in your journal, which you're going to get now, but you didn't have it on your day planner. Let's see, the 6th is the day I become the observer. I don't know what the hell that means.
Let me write that down right now. Yes, Lord.
Today's the day you became the observer. When Michelle had her, when anybody has their breakthrough, they now become the observer. And you can literally, if we were filming it, if we were doing movies, it would be Britnee, and then it would be the 300 mindsets of Britnee would stand there and look at this, and you would all be having a conversation at hyper speed, and the Britnee that would be there, it's kind of like, did you ever see, oh my gosh, Megamind, the cartoon Megamind?
No.
So when he goes to kill the superhero, the superhero wants to die, and he's like, how do I get out of this? But he's moving at hyperspeed, and everybody's like standing still, slow motion, and he's just walking around because he's at hyperspeed. Well, this is what happens every moment now, that you step into the hero, the heroine, and you step into the unknown, which is every moment now, and now you realize it's every moment now. There's 300 of you that pop up that pop up like cartoons. They go, and there's all these Britneys, and they're going, "Should we do? What do you think we do? What do we do? What is she doing? Who's getting control back of this thing? This thing has gone off the rails. Where the hell are we at?" And everybody's arguing about being in the unknown. And they're all standing here, and you standing in the unknown look back and go, "What are you all waiting on?" And they all go back to you, and you take the next step. Nobody else can understand this unless they've stepped into that moment. We've witnessed Rhonda step into that moment. We witnessed Bakumi. We've witnessed Gigi. We've witnessed Michelle. We've witnessed Anne. We've witnessed Julia. We've witnessed Sharon. We've witnessed all of these stepping into the unknowns. And now here's what happens, Britnee. Everybody's going to start asking you, how did you do it?
You know what I'm going to say?
What do I say every day? And everybody there's a part of them that gets pissed going, why is he keeping it a secret? I can't tell you.
You got to go through it to grow through it.
I can't tell you your way to freedom. Because if I did, follow me, and this is going to be highly sensitive. This is, please pay attention to the conversation we're having. If I told Britnee how to get free, that's racism. I've labeled it. Anytime I label a way to get free, that's a racist comment, because I can't do it for Britnee. She can't tell me how to get free. And being in the herd doesn't help. We get hurt. Joseph Campbell says it. If you're lucky enough to have somebody step into the frontier with you, you're lucky. But the single act of heroism can only be done alone. And funny how you never thought. Here's the reality, Britnee. How many times when we see the greats in our life, do we want to go get the object that was part of their life at the moment to create a memory? We have the Constitution. That's a piece of paper. We have, I don't know if I doubt the seat that Rosa Parks sat on is somewhere in a museum. But we store Bibles and books and buildings and cars. This is the car Kennedy was shot in. We always go to find the object of the moment that history was changed. We don't even know if that's the moment it became to life. That's not the moment where the decision started. Your decision started when the dress was taken from you, or you took the dress. Or maybe it started before that. Maybe it started when your mom was conceived or your grandmother was conceived. See, if we go back, we can go to the unending start. And since we don't want to do that, otherwise we'd be filling up museums with a whole bunch of who knows what, we try to go to the moment. Your moment might be the couch. But see, you go, it was a couch. I was sitting on a couch. But to us, we think somewhere that object holds some kind of secret sauce that if we sat on that couch, we'd become free.
Can I say something?
Can I offer a comment, Sean?
Sure.
Wait, can you hear me?
Britnee, your volume's down, but go ahead. But go ahead, Bob.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
Okay, great. So we've observed the heroine taking the journey, jumping into the abyss, and coming out unscathed.
Well, we don't know unscathed, but being able to
well,
come.
Well, she's alive to talk about it.
Yeah, but we don't know how many scars that she got on that way. But yes, here she stands in front of us, capable of telling the story. Yes.
Right. Okay. But I'm hearing that we're skirting around something, we're flirting with something, we're dancing around something yet to be done. And that is, has she esteemed herself for having made that journey?
That's the process that's taking place now. The awareness, the awakening, and then saying, this is my
right. Yeah. But what I'm suggesting is that it might be also useful to explicitly state it as such.
Absolutely.
That I love myself, and not only state it, not only just verbally confirm it, but have the felt sense along with it that I love myself for having taken that journey.
Absolutely.
Because probably that was not allowed in my earlier experience, so I'm not used to it. It's kind of in fact, it's probably out of mind, even though I've taken the journey and survived. It could well be. That's what I'm suggesting.
Totally. And that's the challenges that the astronauts had when they came back from the moon landing, is they went into a state of depression because they thought there was nothing else left to do, and they couldn't accept the fact that they are this 1 of 7 billion, 2 of 7 billion, however many stepped on the planet, on the moon, 9 of 7 billion. And that became overwhelming because they say in psychology now, and is that when people have an awakening, it's the equivalent of stepping on the moon, because everybody in their circle can't even begin to imagine what that feeling is like, and there's a level of depression that comes in, as you're saying, unless we can walk them through that. It's okay to be the best you've ever been, and
it's okay to be yourself. And,
yes.
and I would want to ask Britnee. I'm not exactly sure how to ask her, but I want to ask her how does she feel about herself when she looks back? Does she look at herself in any way, in a different way than she did before she took the journey? Not just the journey itself, but how does she think of herself in the light of having taken the journey?
Can you hear me?
Yes, you sound awfully. Your volume is went from a 6 to a 2.
I put
There you
Okay,
go. Now you're back.
okay. I had put in my AirPod, so obviously that's not working well. Now I can't hear you guys. Shit.
Can you, well, testing 1, 2, 3.
Okay, no, we're good. Oh, we're good. Well, the first feeling when he said that, the first thing that came to my mind was proud. And then going back
Hang on.
to
That's a powerful word. How often had you had that before? Had that been a commonplace word in your self-description?
being proud of myself, not recently, no.
Okay. So again, it's not looking for contrast, but looking to see, is that a word worthy of your moment? And so, yes, it sounds like that's a word worthy of this moment. Okay. What else?
As I was stating before, when I was sitting having a conversation talking about how I used to be ungrateful, in that moment with myself, I felt disgusted. I was like, ew, I used to be disgusting. Like that's gross. But then I quickly shifted from that's who I used to be, that's no longer who I am. And so I felt relieved. I felt progressive. And it all felt worth it just to be able to be in that environment and remain in my circle of influence and remain in joy and remain unbothered, even though that there are things to hurt me. Just how we've given the example of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the furnace and unharmed. It was kind of the same thing because I was at that is the eye of the storm, where the fire, you know, my mom, that's the big boss, that's the big wall, that's the, you know, the source, the origination. I don't want to say source, but the origination. And I was standing right there looking at it in its face, and it was just like, okay.
Now I hear those words as words of skill or capability, but
Okay.
I'm not yet hearing, and I love myself for that.
And when you said that, I wondered, because that thought had never came to my mind. I didn't say I love myself for doing that.
That's the whole point behind
Yeah, I
what
figured.
I'm trying to offer.
I figured. And so maybe I would have to work towards,
Getting used to it.
yeah, being less critical of myself. To say, hey, you did a
Now
good thing.
less critical is an away from. What about something going toward?
Expound. I don't understand what you mean.
You said you want to be less critical of yourself. That's staying away from being critical. That's an away from, okay? What
Okay.
would you prefer to go toward? What experience would you prefer to have?
More acceptance of self.
That's a good start. More pride, like you've experienced. What else?
Hold on. Okay, I'm sorry. Can you repeat it one more time?
What I'm curious about is there something that when you think about it, you want to go toward, that you want to have more of in your experience?
More of myself.
Yay!
More of just More of
More of,
myself,
more of which
just
self?
my higher self,
So if,
my higher self,
so
my loving self.
what would you describe life as if there was no more need for acceptance? What would life be like?
Happy. Yes, Jessica, my true self. And what I wanted to say, Sean, earlier was from that day, remember you said when I was like, Sean dismissed me, and Rhonda was saying, she was talking to me. I was like, she was like, she said something along the lines of, you and then you said it too. It was about like you don't know who you are, or you don't want to be who you are for some reason. You're trying to figure out who you are, but you know who you are. So just exist as who you are. And so Rhonda said that, and then I was talking to you about the mission statement, and then you said that, and then we got on the call today, and then we said something, and then I thought about that this morning, about how I'm just this girl from Chicago who don't always say her words right. You know what I'm saying? And I still find myself capable and able and strong enough to have an impact, to inspire and to influence people, regardless of what my story looks like.
And do
Right?
you like that?
Not all the time now. Because in that same moment, yesterday, I did a Zoom call, and today I was like, see, I should have looked like this on there, or I should have never said that, or I should have been more professional, or I should have did this, or I should have did that. Even though people were like, oh my God, you helped me so much, I was still like, who in the moment, it was me being me. But after the moment, it was me being upset, or not upset, but feeling that me being me is not gonna be able to make it to the top. You know?
So how many times will
I
you
might
have to
cry now.
how many times will you have to take the heroine's journey and dive into the abyss before you convince yourself that, gee, it's great to be me? How many times? 2, 3, 10?
Hopefully not many, but this is a great start.
But here's the
Admitting
next
it,
question.
saying it.
Finding out how many is only a question of what? Belief if you'll get through. Once you know you'll get through, how many will you take? If this is the outcome, if sitting on the couch and going from rage to awareness to observer to realizing you just stepped into the journey all by yourself, alone, sitting on a couch, not one person talking in your ear, not one person motivating you, not one book being read, not one audio being played. You were on this all by alone. In the abyss, you became the caterpillar and turned into the butterfly, and you went through this mesh, this mush, this oh my gosh, and this awakening all in the blink of an eye. If that's the possibility every time you step into that journey, how many times would you want to take that journey?
As many times as I need to.
That's different than 1 or 2. This is going from I want to be less critical. I want to be I want to be less different. You just now focused on you being more of you. It wasn't about, well, I need to ask everybody else how many times I need to go. You didn't ask for approval to go on that journey sitting on the couch.
Okay, to make things clear, that's a good thing, right? This is a good
That's
thing.
a great
Okay.
thing. That's a great thing, because now all of a sudden, all of the comments that are sitting here in the thing going, oh my gosh, Britnee, you're so amazing. You so impressed me. I'm so amazed at where you're going and what you've done from the first call and this, that, and the other. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the awakening? And here's what happens. This is why I asked the question. See, that this farm boy from Ohio, It's only because of experience I get to ask this question. Britnee, here's the question that Bob is alluding to, or I don't know if he's alluding to. That's injected conversation. Who's going to be jealous when they find out you crossed over? Your mom was, potentially. How about everybody else that now knew Britnee? How about all of us who are sitting here going, damn? How about all of those people who won't be the ones encouraging you, who won't be the ones saying congratulations, right? Somebody in your corner should be clapping the loudest when you win.
And it's okay if they don't. And I love that.
I get it.
Mm-hmm.
This is where human nature kicks in at a subconscious level. This is why people put their weight back on. This is why people whose discomforts go away, they got to get them back, because when everybody comes to talk, how's the elbow? Oh, it's fine. They don't have anything to say to them because they've lost their mind.
I get it. I get it. I get it. I get what you're saying. I get it now. Because basically, if I continue to put myself out there, the addiction that I have to everybody else's approval or how they view me creeps back in up on me and hinders me from being my true self, just to appease them, to make them comfortable.
And we limit our.
And I don't like that. I don't love that. Do not love that.
Yet, so now being aware that everybody, see, you're either the cure or the cause. And now you're going to start to realize everybody has a cold.
Well, can I be the cure for myself while being the cause for everybody
else?
All
you can be.
Oh.
Just like the sun shows up. There's people who get COVID and there's people who get healthy. The sun's not going, damn, I let those people down.
Yeah.
Right? What Dr. Amy talked about breathing yesterday. We went from putting them on their back to putting them on their stomach. That's radical. Turn them over. Shocking idea to let the fluid flow out of their lungs. To keep people off of their back, because that's where the lungs expand and everything else. It's like, oh my God, and these are doctors. And you know how hard it is. Think about being Hippocrates or Aristotle or Einstein going, no, I think E equals MC squared. You're nuts. And now all of a sudden Britnee goes,
I'm nuts.
No, we're saying you're nuts. And those of us that are nuts are going, finally.
You're being the cure. The only question I have is, when are you going to decide who gets the credit?
Bob, you really know how to dig deep, don't you? Yeah, that's a great question.
And who might the answer be?
Me.
Yes. Well, didn't say it.
Feel it. I can't just say it.
If you left the paper blank on that test, you'd have failed. And this is the hard part. This is where we start to step into our self-worth. We always say I'm worthy, but we never say the self is worthy. This is why, listen, if we understand this BS of waking up in the morning and saying, I am worthy, I am this, I am that. If that shit worked, we'd only have to say it once. But yet we listen to these people. And I love Bob Proctor. And for many people it works, but it works for the 3% who they could have said, I'm a bag of crap, and they'd have still succeeded. But when we do these I ams, I am worthy. Really? Why is it taking you 29 years to get there? Because you had to sit in the doubt. And you had to sit in the awareness and become the observer. Who is worthy? That's the part that finally woke up. The one who's in control, who hid your heart. You're worthy, you're rich. How many times have you said affirmations? 1 billion. I'm not going to put up with this. I'm going to be rich. I'm going to take care of this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And sitting on a freaking couch, letting your mom yell at you or have a debate with you, you had an awakening. Really?
Oh. Can I stop you? Sorry. That just re-sparked a thought that I had. So, damn it. It's like I halfway got it, because it was something about the couch and you were talking about tangible things. And I was like, the couch is symbolism, right? Because as I sat on that couch, so you can view sitting on the couch in two ways. My mother viewed me sitting on the couch as being like bummy, like vocabulary words that just fail my mind right now, but just stagnant,
Yeah.
right? She viewed me sitting on the couch as
Lazy.
lazy. I know that I'm sitting on the couch working my ass off, not only mentally, right? Because I'm over there like, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, but also within my business, personally, you know, and in my spirit with watching everything that's going on, I'm doing a lot of work, you know, and I'm still getting paid at that, that I'm making money. And we have two different views of what that couch means. And I'm okay with that because
Well,
she
it's
could
always two
never
different
understand
views.
until she's on her own couch, you know?
Always two different views of
It always
everything.
is. Yeah. But I could have sat on that couch and allowed that couch to also represent laziness and stagnancy for me. But that's not what it was.
Well, let's have a little truthful. At some moments in life, it did mean that. That's exactly what it was.
Oh, yeah, before, not now.
Yeah. Well, but that's where do you love you will always keep it in the right perspective. Because when you didn't love you, it didn't keep it in the perspective of the couch never had any meaning until. And that's exactly right. That's why it's symbolism. That's why it's this is the book that so and so read. This is the we're still looking for we're still looking for the and I just lost the cloth that Jesus was wrapped in. We're still looking for the ark. Right? We're looking for all of these things to say that's where it started. But that's never where it started. To get the
Can I
tablet,
say that,
please.
yo, it's so crazy how everything is all intertwined in one.
Really? You
It's still astonishing to me. It's a shocker. A shocker. I was having a conversation yesterday about God and religion versus spirituality. And I was telling someone, this is my view. My views does not represent Sean's views. Okay.
disclaimer for a public broadcast show.
And I was like, I said, I was like, you know, as I've been on my spiritual journey, what I've come to realize is that God is everything. And if God is everything, God is us. We are gods within ourselves. Because when we pray, when we manifest, when we do whatever it is that we are doing, all we are doing is increasing the faith and belief within ourselves to accomplish what it is that we want. So if we know that we can do anything and we exist in that at all times, it's not some type of outside force. It's not this cloth. It's not that couch. It's the thing, the God within us that we have to walk and exist as. It's always within us. That is why we can't tell people how to do it, because it's not know how to. It's a just do it, I guess. And all my life I've been running away from doing the work, but now I finally decided to do the work, and here I am.
So you said the key word, and it transitioned. There's a difference between doing what's right and doing the work.
Yeah. I used to run away from it all the time. Oh my God, he's gonna break my heart, break up. Detach. I don't want to be hurt, so run away. Oh my God, we're good. The fear of conflict, which doesn't do anybody any good.
Well, it also was putting expectation. And how can we put expectation into the frontier when it's the unknown?
Exactly. Wow. I'm ready.
Oh my goodness.
I'm ready. I'm ready. If you watch SpongeBob.
Yes.
Okay, I'm done for today, even though it took an hour and a half.
Was it valuable? Did everybody else feel they were on the journey with her? Yeah. Pretty amazing, isn't it? Britnee,
Thank you.
congratulations.
Thank you, everybody.
And I would encourage you to I don't want to say, I'll say it, pay attention to the dialogue Bob shared with you about you falling in love with this new you.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're at a precipice. You stepped off into it, but I got to tell you, sometimes it gets scary out here.
I free falled.
You did, and you built the chute, and you landed safely. Unbeknownst to you, you built the chute.
Yeah. And then the voice of Bob came from nowhere. Branch.
Isn't that cool? You got both I'm ready SpongeBob, and you got. So here's the neat thing. This is and then all of a sudden what happens is that just pay attention to it, be the observer, as for lack of a better word, jealousy starts to swirl around you.
I always got stories every time you say something. Really quick. I brought a girl from my business. I brought a girl from a high school friend into my business.
Mm-hmm.
And we have another high school friend that I believe wholeheartedly, well, I don't have to say that word. Let me watch that. I believe that our friendship ended because she was jealous of me, not of what I had, but of who I was.
Mm-hmm.
So she ended our friendship. This was about 4 years ago in 2016. I haven't heard from her. I haven't seen her. We don't follow each other on social media in 4 years. My friend recently just joined my business about a month ago. We were just having a conversation on the phone, a kind of personal one. We started talking about high school a little bit. And I was like, hey, you don't post on Instagram that much. And she was like, I posted on Instagram. She was like, a lot of people, I don't tell and show a lot of things, which is also my same philosophy, because you never know the type of energy that people are shooting your way. And I kind of want to, combat negative energy. She was like, because I posted you, and the girl who's not my friend anymore for 4 years, mind you, I haven't seen or heard or talked to her, none of that. She said she came into my DM and replied to it and was like, oh, I almost said something. And that snapped reality back to me. I was like, damn, we ain't talked in 4 years and you still thinking about me, girl? I ain't even, like, you just came out of nowhere. And I told her that. We got on the call, and the girl was like, you have to be edified. You have to be edified to be criticized. And when you said about jealousy and stuff, I thought about that quote. And I was like, now, people were jealous of me before because of what it is that they saw within me, but I didn't see it within myself, so I never understood what they hated me for. But now here I am, coming into myself and viewing myself the way that other people had viewed me, and now I see what it is that I have that's valuable that I didn't see before. And so now I'm more prepared for it.
Can I let you know a little secret?
Oh my God. Just me though, not everybody else.
Exactly. It's going to be a whole new group.
Oh yeah. I already know that. Maybe higher power, higher, richer, more influential people that have the power to destroy me, for sure.
It'll disappear. All of that disappears when it's worthy of disappearing.
You think your friends are jealous of you now? Wait till you really love yourself.
So,
and I'm not going to talk about this just in case they watch it on YouTube, but there's somebody very close to me that's been doing really weird things. And I've never been the type of person to say they're jealous, but now I see misery loves company. When someone doesn't love their self and they see somebody else loving their self, how dare you love yourself?
Exactly. It's the crap theory, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're getting out of the bucket, and they're like, Z snapping a head shake, and you get your butt back here.
And it used to bother me. I used to try to figure it out. but I don't anymore because I know that I'm this, what did I say? This bad boss bitch. Like, plus the evil laugh. And it's like, now that I know, I know that there may be things that try to come to distract me. And now that I could identify them as a distraction, and I don't necessarily have to control the way that they feel or think, I can continue on my horse, galloping towards the abyss, and I guess kicking them in the, I don't even have to acknowledge them, just
No,
ignoring them.
that's spending energy that you don't
Yeah.
need to spend energy on.
Yeah.
And when we realize that we don't need to fight
Nope.
to win, because fighting never produced winning, fighting only produced a winner and a loser.
There's the 100th monkey phenomenon. When one monkey learns how to do something, all of a sudden a lot more of the others pick up on it.
Yep.
Reminds me of Planet of the Apes and what happened with Caesar. Mm-hmm.
So and these are all the hero's journey stories. Sometimes the hero doesn't win, and we realize that. Rhonda, you've been through this recently, this awakening, and so speak to our young Padawan. Star Wars reference there.
You know, there's not a whole lot to be spoken to Britnee, because where she's at right now, she doesn't need to have a whole lot spoken into her. She needs to see what's coming from her to be let out. The reason there's not a whole lot to be spoken into her, how can I say this?
Well, not necessarily. So I guess let me rephrase my question.
Okay.
Have you experienced as a parallel step where Britney's at, where people who were
Yes.
part of your bucket now trying to go, well, hey, where are you going?
Oh yeah. Now that was what I was going to go to.
Right.
Because I do have those people in my life that are, they're kind of doing this now. They're like, whoa, I don't know who you are. I don't know who. And we've been like this. And it's unraveling the truths that they've set under that are fake truths. And it's unraveling the thought of they've been this open, loving person, and I'm not questioning that, but I'm questioning from which they see that, because they, I love them and blah, 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 like Britney says, but only if you stay in this definition. The new definition, I don't know about that. So what that does inside their head is it makes them begin to question, who am I and what do I know? And because I'm making them question who am I and what do I know, it makes them so uncomfortable. And they have to begin to either go, I'm going to look at the potential of I've been sitting under fake truths, or I'm going to stay turned into the ignorance that I've always known. And ignorance is curable. Stupidity is forever. So when they choose ignorance, that's their choice. That's their choice. So then the question that came up to me as I was listening to Britney was this: can my heart speak so loudly that when I speak truth from love, that those that hear me will not pick up an offense because they have been loved so deeply by me? So this is why we can sit here on a day like today, in a place where our world is today, in the existence that we have today, and Sean and Britney can have this conversation after Britney blew my phone up. He doesn't dismiss me. He cut me off. I can't believe that, and she blew it up. And I let her because the woman and the person inside of me understood where she was coming from. Because there's been some times where I've been like, oh, Sean better be glad he don't live next door, because I'd have done ran over and, Michelle would be relieved of a husband. So I get it, and I let her blow my phone up. And now I see just how Bakumi was able to arrive. Sean speaks so loudly from his heart that anybody can get upset with him, and he doesn't pick up their offense. And eventually they realize it's not the offense they picked up, it's the truth that they were sitting under. They have now identified as a fake truth that they bought into that no longer serves them. And the fight you see in people is the internal struggle within them to begin to realize where they've been cannot take them where they want to go or to the potential God created them to have. And oftentimes we'll see that struggle. They'll lash out to us or at us because we're in our heads and not in our hearts more. And we will get offended, or they will get offended. And that's when you get that separation and that division. And that's when you get, like Sean just said, and I changed the quote just ever so slightly, fighting never produced anything but a winner and a loser. So that's what you saw Britnee do. Is Sean's holding his hand up all the time going, hey, I'm here. I'm here. And Britnee came up and put her hand there, and she started pushing, and Sean just released the pressure off of his hands, and she fell into Sean's arms. She got bathed in love. And as she threw a fit while getting bathed, because she didn't want the water in her eyes, and the soap might have been burning her, although there was never any soap, but she's screaming and she's mad and she's frustrated. If you've ever bathed a child that doesn't like water in their eyes, you know what I mean. Stop
Or
it,
a cat.
stop it. Yeah, or a cat. I've done that. Then you understand. And Sean let her basically throw her fit while he loved her, all the while looking at her going, but I know what's inside her. I know it's inside her. Can I endure one more scream to find the code that helps her open the door that she needs to walk through or wants to walk through? So that's what I'm sitting over here listening to. And God's downloading a whole story that happened to me yesterday, and he's revealing how he was in that story and where he was in that story. And hearing Britnee, first of all, I love Britnee because she's so vocal that we don't miss out on the internal dialogue, because sister's going to say what she wants to say, what she hears, and what she might think she hears. And I love that because it gives us the full 360-degree perspective instead of remaining quiet and then we only hear the awakening, which is sometimes what I would do. I love how Britnee vocalizes it all, because if anybody's on this call and they're in any of those stages, they can now see how Britnee navigated that. It's not the same story, but the navigation process is most of the time the same. And that's what Sean teaches, is how to navigate through it. Not what to feel in it, not to what to think in it, but how to navigate through that. I hope that comes across right. So that's what I'm hearing over here. And I'm hearing there's often sometimes where you have to get bound and confined and controlled in order to calm the chaos enough to where you can be released into freedom. Because if you're released into the open without going through that time alone, that time away, like Sean was saying, like Moses did, like the heroes, the book, what was the book you said, Jeremy? The Journey, Joseph Campbell. If you don't go through that time, the confinement, the inner search, the inner dialogue, oh my gosh, when you're released, you will look, for East Texas words, it'd be, you look like a chicken with its head cut off running around. But when you go through that alone time and that confinement and that time of thinking, that's when I wrote that down. That was the other thing I wrote down. Alone is a good thing. It's in the alone that divine communication can occur. That's what I wrote down. And Britnee, knowing unconsciously, but not knowing consciously, took a trip, because her inner knowing knew, if I get you out of your environment, God knew, if I can get you out of this environment, I can speak into you what you need that you've already known, but you're not hearing. So I hope all that, this sounds so hooky pooky to me right now, coming out of my mouth even, but I hope it's coming out properly. I hope it because this is what I'm hearing, this is what I'm seeing. And Britnee, who would have ever thought, and here's what's crazy. Wow, this just hit me. The place you got the awakening is the place that consciously you keep saying hurt you the most.
Absolutely.
And that's the only
So,
place it can happen.
right, that's exactly what I was about to say. That is the only place that could happen. There's a real small, good book called The Ant and the Elephant. If you ever get it, you'll love it. You'll love that book, The Ant and the Elephant. This is what happened with Britnee. And going to that place where the most pain was caused, in a different state of mind, willing to hear supernatural divine intervention, Britnee was able to go out from under the truths that bound her, that weren't truths that serve her any longer. I hope that makes sense.
If I can paraphrase that, the context in which you can grow forth can be in either two places, either alone in meditation and self-reflection, or in a meaningful communication where we meet a person at their own model of the world, where we encourage them to have their full experience, where you, Rhonda, allowed Britnee to just explode with her experience first and be heard. It's a hearing yourself and understanding yourself, either in solitude or with the help of a meaningful conversation with someone who will encourage us to hear our own and understand our own circumstances. So Sean always asks questions that allows a person to come forth with his experience, his or her experience, to be explored. So, and the same thing happens in our marketing business. If we contact our prospects and first engage them at what their current experience is, what's bothering them, what do they like, what do they want? It's the same thing. We're allowing them to bring to consciousness what it is that they're about, what it is that they're concerned with. And then maybe, if we're lucky, we've got something that'll help them get to where they're going. But it always starts with, it's always about them. For me, in counseling with somebody, it's never about me or what I know or what I think they should have. It's about, who are you right at the moment? What do you need? What's important to you? What's going on in your experience? It always starts there.
So an amazing moment, Britnee. Thank you for taking us on the journey with you. Yay. Alex, let's go to Serbia. And Alex, he was here the whole time.
Hello?
There you
Yeah,
are.
I'm here. I'm here. Just need to take care of some stuff for lunch actually, because it's 5:15 here. But
Okay, cool.
let me just put my conversation with Sean hat on, and we can go. So, yeah. Good morning, good afternoon, good wherever you are in the world. I had a I had an awareness slash whatever the other day, and I actually started walking without my headphones and carrying this little walk-in journal, whatever.
Mhm.
So I had a thought the other day because I remembered Scott Schilling, the
Yep.
call we had with him when he launched the book That Sucks What Now a
Yep.
couple of weeks back, and a thought just hit me. And by the way, ever since I started talking to you kindly, sir, I started having these thoughts, like just random thoughts, just like popping
Hmm.
in and out. And I had this thought. This literally hit me, Sean. This hit me so hard. I was thinking I was having a heart attack. Attack, man. Literally, it was it was this. I use the word obviously a lot, and a lot of us do. We use the word obviously a lot, and then I remember the example that you use often from the Bible, which says, I think you have life or death, choose life, right? Or something like that.
I set before you life and death. I give you a
Yeah,
choice. They don't say that, but and then they
yeah,
give you the cheat code, choose life. Yes.
or something like that, yeah. But the point is that they give you what to choose, right? And then I thought to myself, well, if some things are so obvious to us, why don't we have them? Oh, snap. That was my reaction. I thought I was having a heart attack, man.
Hmm.
That was so because I saw people listen to these things and they listen to this every day. They listen to this daily on a daily basis. I'm this, I'm that, I'm good enough, I'm this, I'm that, and the world is this and the world is that. And they're like tiptoeing their way through life with all those thoughts every day, and they still do the freaking exactly the same thing.
Hmm.
They still do the same thing over and over and over and over again. And I actually remember your line. It was a month ago, I think. Just silly how random things pop into my mind and they form the whole puzzle, right? But that's how I guess it works. You said one day when nobody shows up on these calls, it means I did my job. And I was like, well, if things are obvious and we are obviously good enough and our self-image is obviously good enough and we love ourselves obviously and obviously this and obviously that, well, yeah, it's obvious that it's not, I guess. That was my thought the other day. And just one more thing, I want to keep it short since I see a lot of hands up. So I think you guys are putting on some voodoo stuff. Like honestly, you and Rhonda, you're putting up some voodoo stuff. Funny how Britney talked and led us through this walk of hers, and I was literally here it is. My speech for my next Monday mindset tomorrow. I called it BU. I was writing that at 2 a.m. last night, and it was the same things that Brittany talked about right now. So you guys are doing some funky stuff, and
Well,
it works. It works. So
it is vibrational. It is, and we're all connected, and we're connected at the speed of thought, which is faster than the speed of light.
yeah.
So that's when you start paying attention. Is where my downloads come from and how they show up in my head is probably because of the vibration that's happening in the community.
Yeah, I really do believe in that, man. I had a conversation with my friend the other night, and he has a vision, right? He has a picture of himself and he would like to do this and that. And apart from anything, everyone else, he's really in a adult trap in a kid's body. Well, like really, he has a kind of deeper look into life, and he knows he kind of knows what he would like to do with his life, right? And I talked with him about these things that we do here every day, right? And I just remember Bob Proctor saying, you don't understand something until you tell it to someone so they understand it. And I was talking with him about these things, And I realized that, and like, by the way, this comes from a guy, and I'm old school about business. I still believe men in suits on Wall Street. Like I mean, it is what it is. I was like, well, why do you want all that? Like, why do you want that? Why do you want the paper? Because money is just paper with an ink on it. This is a paper with an ink on it. It's just my book,
Right.
right?
And that book could be worth millions of dollars.
Yeah. So why do you want that? No, you don't want the paper. You don't want the car because it's like freaking plastic. You don't want that. You want how it makes you feel, and you want how it complies with the image you want of people that people have about you, right? And I was like, well, put ego outside the door, because once you start be, once you start becoming creative and less competitive, you're gonna see things you haven't seen before. And actually, I did that a couple of weeks back, and I just, as Dr. Wayne Dyer says, changed the way I look at things, and they changed, right? So I
You
became
know who said it before Dr. Wayne Dyer?
who it was, sir.
Wallace D. Waddles. We must move from the competitive
Yep.
world to the cooperative world.
That was a science
You
to
know who
get rich,
said
right?
it? And you know who said it before that? Marcus Aurelius. And you know who said it before that?
Let's just go back.
The guy that made the planet. He looked at it
Yeah.
and said, "This is good."
Yep.
So everything is repeated.
Yeah. I really believe in that, man. That's some hocus pocus, but it works. I don't know this. I believe in this, and I know this.
Yep.
That's not just some hocus pocus, because we really had some
But
really
it
good
is. It is
conversations.
hocus pocus. It is
Yeah.
hocus pocus
Yeah.
because if it wasn't hocus pocus, nobody would be in the search.
Yeah.
We all want to search from our couch, and Brittany's the only one I know who's ever been able to find it sitting on her couch.
Yeah. That's extremely powerful. I actually started learning more about the mind itself, the dreams and stuff like that. And it's really all connected, man. Like it's just another level of understanding, but it is. And they actually had a conversation with Philip the other day, who is unfortunately not on these calls anymore because he's
Unfortunate. Don't put that
an
into your own
idiot.
mind.
But I mean,
You're responsible for him if you think it's again, every word has a vibration.
yeah.
And just as we start to pay attention to it, it's not unfortunate. It's awesome.
Well,
It
that's
is.
his
It's
choice. Yeah,
incredible that he's not on the calls. Why
that's his
limit
choice, I guess.
yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, because I was talking to him like, yo, the other day with Sean, boy, that was crazy. That was crazy AF. All right, that was some next level stuff. And then I remember you saying a couple of weeks back, how can a 3%er explain something to a 97%er? Because you have another perspective, and I'm not saying that I'm like God-given guy. I'm not Jesus. I'm not like JC himself or whatever. No, I just started thinking about the same stuff in a different way, and that's all I did. And so how can
This is why it's so critical to remember that moment we crossed over.
yeah.
Because if we remember that, and Nikki, I do love your hair, by the way. I've noted, was looking like 4 times. I'm going, I'd see just half of your head, and I'm like, who is? Oh. So yes, love your hair. But so the Alex, the thing is, pay attention to those moments you cross over. That's why it's why I do my best to go back to that moment, to sitting on the couch, to you typing, doing a walk, and these moments of transition.
There is.
Because if we don't remember those moments of
stuff.
transition, we can never tell somebody about our moment of transition. We can only remind them of theirs.
Yep.
Me going through what I went through at 14 has nothing to do with Britnee reaching hers. But I remember that so I can remember what it was when I said, I will never have another bad day.
Yeah.
That's all that Britnee said. She said it in a different way. But if we forget that moment that happened for us, and then we will have what the American monk says, we will have those moments of transition that will continually happen. And that's as we go on the hero's journey. And now
Yeah.
that you've been on the hero's journey, once you go on it twice, you look forward to the third time and the fourth time and the fifth time. First time, sometimes we don't even know it. There's two ways you go on the hero's journey. You make a decision and go, screw this, I'm out of here. And you head off with your backpack and you throw your keys. You go live on a park bench like Eckhart Tolle for 2 years. You throw your keys down the drain and you sell your mirrors out of your apartment, making $35,000 at 20 years old in 1970 with Stuart Wilde. You walk off. Buddha goes into the forest. Jesus goes into the desert. Everybody goes on this hero's journey alone.
Yep.
And if we forget what that is like, we can never teach anybody else the courage to go on it on their own. And nobody wants to hear about our journey.
Yeah. That's why you always say, when we say, thank you, Sean, for making me a better person. No, thank you for being here, and thank you for asking, and thank you for making yourself a better person.
Exactly.
Yeah. You're freaking genius. I love you.
Love
Yeah.
you, brother.
Thank you.
Speaking of hair, hey, Gigi. You got to be like, I don't know. I feel, you know what? I'm glad I started the call because I'm not sure if I'd make it past the grade. I'd still be standing outside behind the red velvet rope going, why are they all going inside?
Hi, Sean.
Good morning, Gigi. I love
How are
you.
you doing today?
Outstanding, my love.
Let me get comfortable because I got a little bit of a story. I think I had another awakening, kind of like a paradigm shifting thing. Okay. So I've been like in a funk all last week and I wasn't sure why. And like as I was like journaling and stuff like that. But the crazy thing was there was like a video that came up on my YouTube recommended, and then the title was like emotional numbness. And I was like, I'm not gonna watch that video. And then I didn't watch it. And then a couple days later, like the thought came back up and I was like, you know what? I should watch the video. So then I watched the video. And the main thing that stuck out to me was it said that it's the beginning stages of depression. So then I was like, okay, change the way you look at things and the things you look at change. So if that's the beginning, then at least I made it out of the hole and I'm at the beginning. I'm at the place where I took the left turn and went down this dark path. So then I was like, okay, good. And as I was like, let me do some more research on this. And then as I was like typing in to try to look at more YouTube videos, I found, it was like, I didn't find it, but YouTube kind of found it. And it automatically just populated videos on childhood and emotional neglect. And then I watched about 10 videos and I took a quiz and I was like, that's it. Because they say that the reason why you are the way you are is something that has to do with your childhood. And researching it more, it was pretty much saying that I didn't.
Okay, listen, hang on to your story. Hold on to your story. You know where you're going, right?
Yeah.
Is life, listen, that little bit of gene, is life anything other than the accumulation of our childhood?
That's what it is.
So it's not like it's some rocket science.
I know, that's the crazy thing. But like part of me is like, I know whatever it is from childhood. But I'm like, I don't know what it is. This whole journey I've been going on, I'm like, I know it's from my childhood, but I don't know what it is.
And so here's the thing though, follow me on this. You sit here in front of me as a how old amazing soul?
25.
Are you not capable of childhood right now?
Yes.
And if you become, God willing, you become 26 and 27 and 28, is not your 25-year-old your childhood?
Yes.
See, we always think it has everything to do with when we were in diapers, couldn't walk and didn't have control. When we were a child, were we happier then than we are now, or are we happier now than we were when we were a child?
Happier than.
Yes. So then isn't a bad time, but yet somebody, because we had a scar in our life, we always blame it on childhood. Childhood was the most amazing time in our life. And yet we were prisoners, locked up, told exactly what to do, where to go, what to eat, when to eat, happier, all of this stuff. And the reality becomes the fact that right now you have this amazing ability to choose. Well, aren't you childlike in this moment?
Yes.
And isn't your success coming from your childlike manner?
Yes.
So is it okay that the childhood we say that built us is also rewiring you now. This is why it's personal undevelopment.
Mhm.
So I'm glad you're on this journey. So continue.
But it's like I wouldn't have like realized that's what it was if I didn't go on the journey.
Exactly. And so what do we always talk about that kind of curiosity? We name it. You need to have a blank curiosity. Childlike curiosity. Because your adult curiosity got you stuck where we are now.
Very true. Very true.
So how does it feel to be on this childlike journey?
Feels good. It feels good to like know like kind of like what it is instead of always having to like wonder what the situation was in a sense. Like realizing that I didn't necessarily like get the love I thought I like the love I needed as a child. It wasn't in the shape or form that I did it or like thought I needed it. But then it's like now as an adult I can give myself that love.
So let's go back to that moment.
Mm.
Could you have gotten any more love at that time in that situation?
No, they like they said, our parents did the best that they could.
So here's the illusion. You now set yourself up, right? Energetically, follow me on this. I love you.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get as much as I needed. You got all you could.
Yeah.
But now, but the distraction is the old story, because you've had some breakthroughs here. You've gotten up and danced and you've done all these things. You've had some breakthroughs here that you were on this journey moving forward. And these videos show up to remind you that you didn't get enough back then, but you got all you could back then. There was no more you could have gotten because the people who were giving it to you, it's not that you couldn't have received more. That's all they could do.
Mm.
So don't go back going, see, I suffer because I didn't get enough. Here's the hard part. I love you. Here's the hard part. I'm glad you got what you got. Otherwise, I may have never had the chance to meet you.
Oh, it made me cry.
But I'm serious. Had you had the perfect, most emotionally uncharged life, you wouldn't be here. So I'm honored that you've had the courage to step into this moment in your life that I get to parallel with you in time and space. And it's not that you did. I would encourage you to avoid the comparison. I didn't get enough. You got all you could.
Yeah.
What you found out is you have reserves for more. Imagine if you were still in that state and you were around everybody that could only give you that much love. You wouldn't be on these calls. You wouldn't be leading us in conversation. Because if that's all you continue to have, so as Britnee awakened to sitting on the couch, that'll always be my reference point to it, is that there's more. And when you gave yourself the freedom to have more, of course comparison comes in. Here, you want to know the funny thing? The joy you're feeling right now? Is there ever a chance that you're going to go, oh, I had no idea I was just scratching the surface?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in your childlike wonder, you can have all you choose. The entire universe is waiting to pour itself into that little frame of a body that will handle the entire universe. And it's this undevelopment of the old story that allows us, listen, if we have a certain quantity that we can absorb, right? That's what goal is. A goal is saying, I don't have it now, I want more. A goal is saying, I'm limited to this, I need to be able to expand to that. Well, when can we expand to that, whatever that is? More love, more money, more success, more people on our team, more leadership, more this, more of anything, fill in the blank. When we say I'm going to expand to that, what do we have to do? We either have to break out, break through, break free, break from. But what if we just displaced? What if we just took this out? What if you gave away a shirt in a closet and there was an empty rack, an empty hanger? That now means you have room for one more. The reason that you can look back and say, yes, it was a childhood scar. Totally get that. We all have them. And if you don't, we're going to start asking you, what planet are you from? And now all of a sudden you have this awakening, and I would encourage you to avoid the comparison, because now you're still saying you weren't enough. You were perfect at every moment. And in this moment of you awakening, you're perfect. And in this moment of saying, I have now more space, right? Think about this. I've seen your hair a lot smaller. Why is it so full now? Because it's not restricted. Would it be fair to say that this is in the time that I've been able to be blessed in your vibration, your hair has become more fuller as you've become more fuller? Yeah, and your smile has gotten bigger as you become more fuller. I think you've even grown.
I think my neck has got longer.
I think it has. And it's sexy. The point is this, is that as you continue to remove the constraints of a story, usually sometimes it's, I don't deserve that. That's a future story. Or I didn't deserve that is the old story. But in this moment, what do you deserve? Everything. And if we begin to look at everything, I set before you life and death, choose life. Sadhguru, joy or misery? Would you say your hair is more joyful being open and free? I don't know. I can tell you, to us, to me, your hair is happy. I can hear every curl singing. And I heard them singing before, because they were in a different dress. And they looked sexy then. So I would ask you, what are you allowing to flow through you? Because that's the awakening. No, I can't think of that, or I'm not going to watch that, or I'm not going to do this. You've become the observer. The times, listen, the two stories that I know in the Bible, because that's all I know, is the time where they brought the woman who committed adultery. And they said, Jesus is drawing on the ground with a stick. The number 3 guy, the wisdom of this person is drawing with a stick and then not paying attention. Paying attention, becoming the observer. Not directing. He didn't tell anybody. All he said was, hey, listen, the first one of you that hasn't sinned, you cast the first stone. And who left? The ones who had the most thoughts of them not qualified to cast the first stone. And then it goes on to say in the story, he looked up and no one was there. As you look up, and as Britnee looks up, and Rhonda looks up, and Michelle looks up, and Ann looks up, and Julia looks up, and every one of us looks up, there's no one there. Faith and Courage were sitting home one day, and fear and doubt knocked on their door. Faith and Courage opened the door, and no one was there. We watch you awaken, and there's only Gigi. This is faith and courage. This is the hero's journey, to step into that unknown and then to come back and tell the story, and then to go, y'all got it? Great. See ya. And then they come back. Great. See ya. It was always, listen, again, we can talk to one of our scholars on the call, but it always says on their way to. Even the story of the loaves and the bread, you go to the other side. There was always transition in these stories. They didn't all sit in Galilee where he was born. I think that's where he was born. See, I don't know the Bible. I think, and they all didn't sit under the star and they all come to him. There was always the journey. He traveled to, I don't know, Bethesda or blah, 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 or Galilee or Gumptious Gavafava, well, however those names are said in the look at Rhonda shaking her head, go, no, you're going to hell. The point is that there was always this journey. I know there's always this journey and this travel and days. What they don't say is there was always these moments of solitude that somebody had to go from point A to point B by themselves. In the garden, you'll deny me 3 times before sunrise. There's always this journey of transition. And that's where you're at, and that's where we get to follow you.
You're writing a new story in which the plot thickens, if not the hair.
Exactly. That help, Gigi?
Yeah. One more thing though.
Yes.
Just one. I feel like the universe is trying to test me yesterday. Well, over the weekend.
Wait a second. Do you think there's listen, you're fighting gravity right now. The universe is always trying to test you.
And over the weekend, like somebody from my past kind of like popped up.
Shocking.
And I feel like the test was, am I gonna choose to love myself more and not entertain it, or choose to entertain it? And I was like this close to entertaining it. And then I had to sit yesterday, like I sat by myself and like I meditated and I was like fasting and I was praying, and I like came to the realization, no, you have to choose yourself. And like that's the true definition of self-love, is choosing you.
Well, here's the question then. If you're in self-love and you're in true love and you have fallen in love with you, can you step anywhere and be out of love?
Mm.
Now, the question is do you have the stamina to stay, the strength to stay in your place? Because you can entertain anything.
Mm.
And that's the next step. So congratulations on your journey.
Thank you.
Yay. I love you.
I love you too. I love you all.
Elizabeth. Hello, Elizabeth.
Good morning, everybody. Well, almost good afternoon. Oh, I've missed you guys so much. And seriously, this is kind of what I wanted to talk about, because I haven't been able to wake up in the morning. And I feel like my energy has been so drained in the morning. And I mean, I'm doing a lot of things. So is my husband. But this is like not something new. Like I've always juggled like 1,010 things in one and been completely fine. But lately, I mean, I even pulled a muscle in my body the other day, which never happens. Never. Like I never get hurt. Like I like to stay in shape and work out. And I feel like when I picked up my son the other day, like that's the only thing I could think of for the muscle that I pulled in the spot that it's pulled in.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm trying to like journal. I mean, I've been eating healthy. I've been taking care of myself, but no matter what, like even I even got on the call late today, and I'm even sleeping with my watch on to see like, you know, how many times of what's going on when I wake up in the middle of the night, which my son has been waking up in the middle of the night. He has been disrupting my sleep, but that's nothing new either. That's happened in the past, and I've been more energetic, and I don't know how to figure out what is draining me.
Okay, so if you were to sit quietly and ask yourself, which part of you is draining you?
I feel like the only thing I could think of is my husband, because like we're remodeling our home.
Let's ask the question again, Don Pardo. Let's do a retake on this question.
All right.
Which part of you is draining you?
I don't even know if I know how to answer that question.
Okay, that would be where I would start. So here's the question: your son wakes up.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be fair to say? Would it be fair to say your home environment, is it on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being perfect and 1 being chaos? Where would you say it's at? The entire environment.
The environment itself, like the energy, would be at a 8.
Okay.
But if I'm talking like today, I'm spending the day cleaning because I know because I'm not saying I'm depressed, but I know like cleaning and organizing makes me happy. So today I'm spending all day cleaning my condo because it's like a wreck from my son. So I don't know if me not having everything in place is what's getting at me.
So wait a second. You said the energy is, and
the energy's good.
But what is energy? Isn't
Like,
energy everything?
yeah, that's true.
When you look at the chaos, doesn't that reduce the energy of the room?
Yeah. Okay,
So,
so now it's at a 3.
there we go. Don Pardo, she won the prize. Let's tell her the parting gift. So I'd add, so here's you just found out your answer to my first question. Which part of you is the one that's straining you, stressing you? It's the one that said the 3 versus the one that thought it was the 8. The one that thought it was the 8 is the one that hopes and wishes and just would want to will it to be an 8.
But why do I make a clean house so important to me? I feel like it's kind of obsessive in a way. Like it's
Let me ask this
OCD.
question. Let me bring Elizabeth on the call. Elizabeth, if you could join us. Elizabeth, why do you think some people make a house so important, the criteria that it's clean, it deserves their respect and honor versus the home being a home? That would be you. I'm asking the question too.
Yeah. I mean, it's a home, but I'm also like wanting to put myself helping my husband with our other home because that's where we're going to be moving to. And I know he's so stressed out and it shows. Like I see it and I feel it. And I'm always trying to help him with like the extra time that I have on top of like taking care of my son. And
that's
like,
hard to do with your hands tied, isn't it?
Yeah, and then also like I'm working part-time, like trying to help my clients and getting my licenses through the board, and my job is like asking more of me. They're like, when are you going to get your LPC, which is the license practicing counseling? Like I have my LICDC through the board, it just needs to be approved, but they're like, oh, when are you going to get your LPC? You need to study for that. And I'm just like, do you even know what's going on in my life right now? Like
So
like
let
I am.
let me ask you this question. Do you think there's anybody that would swap lives with you in a heartbeat right now?
For sure.
And so why do you think they do that?
I don't know, because I'm helping people. I'm juggling 1,000 things.
You have a home?
Because I have a home. I have a husband.
You have 2 of them, right?
Yeah, I have 2 homes.
Okay, so I would encourage you to write down the 100 things you're grateful for because you forgot that.
Yeah. I mean, I practice gratitude
No,
too,
you
but
don't. You can't. You got a house that's a disaster. You have a son that made it. You know how many people lost their son yesterday morning?
yeah.
Yeah. So I love you, but you're another one of those tough cookies. Suck it up. I'd go throw some more shit around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you have forgotten the joy you already have because you have this high level, you have this high standard that things should be great. I get it. Things should be great. But we forgot how great they are right now.
I mean, I even wrote in my journal, I'll read this to you. This is what I wrote last night before I went to bed. Because I wrote, I'm grateful for my son. I'm grateful for food, air, clothes, vision, health, family, and friends. Lately, my husband has been moody. I don't know why. It feels like the house is stressing him out. I go, please, God, help me, help him be better. Hopefully, he likes his Father's Day gift that I got him. I am strong. I am happy. I am loved. I am productive. Thank you for today. And so it's like,
so wait a second. There was one line in there I need you to repeat back to me. It's I am love. Finish. What state was what tense was the word love in? Is it I am loved?
I am loved.
I am loved. I would encourage you to change that. I am loving. See, all of this was about what everybody else gave to you. That entire thing was about what everybody else gave to you. I didn't hear about how you served you, which is where you're missing the joy. This is why you told me at an 8, because you wanted to make me feel good and not make me feel despondent about your 3.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was just, Britnee said, did you feel it? It's always on the outside. Go back to what Bob said. Do you love you? And right now, I'm not going to ask you to answer that, but right now there's a challenge because everybody wants you to do something. Everybody wants you to do, can you get to the moment with me? Where are you at right now? Are you sitting on something?
Am I sitting?
Yeah.
No, I'm standing.
Can you feel the floor under your feet?
Yes.
What temperature is it?
Probably 75.
Okay, the floor is.
Oh, well, I'm in my slippers. I'm
Okay.
not barefoot.
Well, but so can you feel the floor through the slippers?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. What kind of floor is it?
It's concrete.
Okay. Without looking, and I know you know the color, but what color is it? Can you feel the color with your feet? Wait a minute. You can't feel color. Color is energy. Color is vibration. If you can see color, you can feel color.
Right.
So what color would you feel under your feet?
I see gray.
Okay. I know you see. What color do you feel? This is why the room is a 3. Is because
Mm,
feeling. Do you think the floor is a 3? Do you think the floor thinks the floor itself is a 3? Well, the floor can't think. If a plant can think and move its leaves to the sun, there's consciousness. We are the eyes of the world. Aren't you the eyes of the consciousness of the world you sit in? Aren't you the voice of the consciousness that you walk through? You are the voice of consciousness of the room you are in. And if you see
right.
a 3, then your consciousness is at a 3.
Right.
Joe Dispenza says our personal reality makes up our personality, or our personality makes up our personal reality.
Yeah.
If you came home and couldn't get in, suppose you couldn't get in and the house was locked, and you're how old is your little boy?
He's 3.5.
And he can't open the door, and he can't open the door, and you're like screaming, I just turn the knob, and he can't open the door. And when you finally got into the door 4 hours later and he's running around still in joy, wouldn't you just run in and pick him up and go, oh my God, I was so scared?
Yeah.
You'd be at 100 right then, wouldn't you?
Right.
Regardless of the way the room looks now. Be in the present. You forgot to give yourself this present called Elizabeth.
And I think I was mixing the present with other things. Like I was still doing things that I enjoyed. Like I planted like a garden. I have plants growing in buckets, which I'm going to make a garden out of. You know, I've been exercising. I lost like 9 pounds in like 2.5 weeks, which is like a goal of mine. And I've just been doing everything that I enjoy in life. But, you know, just the morning energy like just wasn't there. So
you know why that's happening, right? I'm sure that's why you're going to ask me, but you know why that's happening.
yeah,
Yeah, why?
because my energy, and I'm considering everything in my home
No.
is not really a home.
Thanks for playing. I love you. Didn't you just list off a litany of things you're doing well?
Yes.
And you've been told that if you do that, there's going to be people who don't like you. So now you're finding fault with the things you can find fault with. You just lost 9 pounds in 2 weeks.
Yes.
You just did all of these things that you're doing so well. Guess what?
Yes.
You will find a way. The old story is sneaking, that the enemy is a sneaky SOB, son of belief. And it has snuck in for you to be lazy, because then you can't enjoy the 9 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it okay for you to be in this moment with all of the wins you've just had?
Yes.
I'm going to ask you a silly question. Do you and your husband love each other?
For sure we do.
Okay, so what the hell else is the matter? Do you know how many people are in relationships that are harmful?
Yeah. I mean, I was in one of those
Yeah.
at one point in time.
So then wouldn't you be waking up gracious every day that you're safe and healthy and happy and you're working on your second house? What the frick? Listen, that's called first world problems that you're dealing with.
It is totally first world problems.
So I'd suck it up and go, okay, life's pretty good. Your boy's healthy, right?
Yeah, I need to be more grateful. I need to write down 100 things, not just 10.
Not more grateful. What's the opposite of being grateful?
Selfish?
Yeah, no.
No?
Well, possibly.
Well,
but
not grateful.
Not even selfish, because if you were selfish, at least you'd be going, I don't know why anybody else isn't happy. I'd be more self-full. I'd be more in the moment. You are grateful. It's just these old stories are showing up, not allowing you to awaken to your gratefulness.
Yeah.
Well, I would go over the next piece of whatever disaster that's in the house that you need to pick up from your little guy,
Mhm.
go, he's here and allowed me to do this.
Yeah, you're right.
And he's waking up in the middle of the night because you can't sleep in the middle of the night either. He's made up of 50% you, 50% your husband. Between the two of you, did I tell you the story about my son and his earaches? Have you heard that story?
No, I haven't.
So in 2004, when the hurricanes came, it destroyed our house, right? 3 hurricanes, like in the matter of 2 weeks, came right across the top of our house. The first one made it unlivable, condemned it. We moved everything out of the house to the neighbor's house. So we still had a bunch of our stuff, our objects. We moved it into the neighbor's house. A week later, another hurricane came, and we asked if we should get an renter's insurance because we put all of our furniture in their house. Well, no, it'll be fine. It'll be covered under your homeowners. And flooded their house, ruined everything else that we had, started off at zero again. Now our house is unlivable. We lost all of our furniture, and because they told us we didn't have it, we sent them the email. They go, well, they're wrong. We should have had renter's insurance. We lost everything. Mason's getting earaches like weekly, some of them severe. And it's at such a point to where they're going to put tubes in his ears.
How old was he at the time?
Not even a year old yet.
Wow.
And so I go back to my training from Bob Proctor, who I hired as a coach 19 years, 20 years ago from now. But we go back to that training, which was recent. And I said, Michelle, I think we're causing this. She's like, what? I said, yeah. I said, you're stressed, I'm stressed, and it's showing up in Mason. So we're scheduled for surgery. This is Thursday. We're in the doctor's. We're scheduled for next Tuesday. That's how fast they wanted to push it. We're going in Monday for the pre-op. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we went back into meditation. We went back into gratefulness. We went back into gratitude. House is still destroyed. I'm still building my business from a car and air conditioning and sleeping with friends' houses. We were homeless for 3 years. That hadn't taken place yet. This is still like month 8 of being homeless. Not living on the street by any stretch of the imagination. But we went back into meditation. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we go in for the pre-op and they go, he seems okay. We go back next Monday because they want to schedule it the following Tuesday. Tuesday's when they did surgeries, and they go, he seems to be fine. He's not been back to the doctor since.
Wow.
He's made up of 50% me, 50% my bride. If both of us are having a shitty day, guess who's having a real bad day?
Right.
Yeah. So suck it up, Mom. I love you.
I love you guys. Thank you.
But this is about you taking care of you so that you can energetically take care of the rest. And here's the neat thing. You want to know how this goes full circle? What's your boy's name?
His name is Noah.
Noah. So you go to Noah with your good energy right now. You're the state of mind you just changed. Noah's doing something different right now. And if Noah's made up a half a dad, guess where his energy now flows back to?
Me. Well, him and me.
And to dad.
My,
right?
yeah, right.
So now all of a sudden, and dad's happy, guess what Noah's feeling?
Super happy.
And guess what you're feeling?
Super happy.
And you're now back to Noah, and guess what he's feeling?
Extremely
We
happy.
talk about karma and we go, that doesn't work. It works every single time. It's why Mother Teresa said, you have a march against war, don't invite me.
Yeah.
Because the tension and the stress and the words and the vibration that's out in that protest and in that march can't solve anything.
Right.
It just can't. Until. And your fight against an 8 and a 3, now everything's a 10. It can't get any better than this moment. But in this moment, it can get better, or this moment, it could get worse. And that's the neat thing about stepping into the Britnee, the frontier. It's unlimited possibilities. And you have chosen to step into the frontier by asking your question. Welcome
Thank you.
to the wild frontier. How do you feel?
I feel better.
Yeah. And it's the feeling, not the thinking, because the thoughts are still there. The house, the disaster, the house is still there. Look who showed up. Look who showed up.
Look who's here.
Look who showed up. You talk about the law of attraction. Y'all just pay attention. The law of attraction, because he just said he's 3. He doesn't go, listen, I think my mom's going through some personal development. Maybe I can get back in there and speak my words and share some joy, because I think that'll support her.
Hi, Noah. How are you?
Hi, Noah.
Hi, Noah. You want to say hi to everybody?
Hi, Noah.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Noah.
Hi, Noah. How are you today, Noah? It's Elmo.
Say, I love this mess.
Yes, look at the mess. Look at all the Legos. Yay!
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Ah, that's. Oh my goodness.
My police car is fixed. Yeah, your police car is fixed.
Yay. Yeah, I mean, you just see what just happened. This isn't coincidence. This is energetic. And now you
Yeah,
get,
once my back, he came in here because he was in the other room the whole time when I was all like crying, reading my journal to you guys.
yeah, that's all just poofy, fooky, woo-woo stuff. You're dang right it's woo-woo stuff. And when we go, woo-woo, life shows up.
Yeah.
Thank you for letting us witness that. Look at the smile on your
Thank you, guys.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you, guys.
Delia, let's go to Miami. Delia.
Hello, Sean.
Hello, Delia.
I was finishing. I was
Outstanding.
listening, and how are you?
Outstanding.
I was listening, but I was finishing up lunch. As far as
Excellent. Buen provecho.
I have my question here. Isn't it true that fear shows in a form of resistance? This came up as Rhonda was wrapping up Britney's awakening today. Do you always or ever feel that, oh, now I got it, I feel comfortable, and a new challenge shows up, a new role, a new life? And others, when I look at others as an observer, I realize that their lives never change, or they believe that they don't change, and they see the obstacles or the next step to move forward with their awareness and life as a threat. Do they see the changes that are coming up to step up as an opportunity or as pain? Again, joy and misery.
Most people live their life as the offender or the offended. So when we step into joy, there is no more offending. There is no more us versus them in joy. Hard concept. Easy to say, not so hard to do, hard to comprehend.
Exactly.
Thank you, Delia, for your wisdom.
Thank you.
Let's go to Julia. Good morning, Julia. Or afternoon, or who knows what day it is. I don't even know.
Hello. Yeah.
Hello, Julia.
Evening here. It's 6 p.m.
Yay.
How are you, Sean?
Outstanding.
How is everyone? This is such an amazing conversation again, as usual. Sean, I have a question, of course, but like with everything going on, and like we spoke about that briefly.
Yep.
I feel like we're all going through an awakening, but you cannot have an awakening without focus, right? And without like being internally focused. And like with everything.
I agree with that. But when you woke up this morning, you couldn't have been focused before you woke up. It's in the awakening that focus takes place. Right? When you woke up this morning, what's the first thing you did?
I went on my phone.
Yeah. So that's where your focus went. See, you couldn't, if you were focused before you woke up, you'd have had your phone in your hand. but we come from the unconscious to the conscious world. It's an amazing thing that happens every day. We kind of wipe the slate clean. That's what Joe Dispenza talks about. We wipe the slate clean, but then we wake up in the same bed we went to sleep in, which is a good thing. And we wake up with our head on the same pillow, and we usually wake up with the same kind of routine. We put our feet on the floor. We grab our phone. We go to the bathroom the same way we go to the bathroom. We do all of these things, and it's habitualization. So I agree there is an awakening. When we have an awakening, there's a new focus, but it's saying goodbye to the old focus. That's what the awakening is. And the old focus was sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, there's a higher self, there's a higher energy that allows us to wake up. Sometimes it's an external one, but how many times have we hit the snooze button? So go ahead with your question.
Okay. So, and like yesterday, I literally spent like the afternoon, I didn't touch my phone. I didn't use my phone because I had like 2 very exhausting weeks where I'm like back and forth between being on social media, posting a bunch of stuff, trying to educate myself and like reacting to everything and just having a lot of anger and frustration and disappointment, or I gotta spread awareness and send love and blah, blah, blah. And then yesterday I just disconnected and I read a little bit and I just like spent some time by myself and I felt so good. And then
yeah, don't do that again. Don't ever do that again.
No, but it's like and especially with everything going on, you know, and I told you, Sean, as well, like me being a Black woman, well, a mixed woman, like it's hard to
pick a side.
And this side and having this awakening as well. Like, first of all, I'm mixed, so I'm Black and white. So I constantly, like I said, move between.
But what
like,
are you before, but what are you? So let me ask this. What are you before Black and white?
Human.
And before human, what are you?
Spirit.
Is there any color in spirit?
No.
No. And so now you have a choice, either a joyful spirit or a not joyful spirit.
Absolutely. But how do you deal with all of the energies going on social media? Like, if you don't do anything, you're wrong. If you do something, you're wrong.
But who says you're wrong? You do or they do?
You do what?
If you don't do anything, who says you're wrong? If you don't do anything, do I say you're wrong? Does it matter what I say?
No.
Because whoever they are, I'd like to round them all up and push them off a cliff because they don't control you, but they do control you until they don't.
No, but just in general as well with the business that we do, like I told myself I'd rather focus on actually creating wealth for people.
What business do we do?
We build people.
Right. Does it have to be around wealth? Doesn't wealth limit who we can talk to?
Yes, but
Yes.
we build people.
So if we build people, are we building color or are we building spirits?
We're building spirits.
So if we're building spirits, who can we talk to?
Anyone?
And if we can talk to anyone, are we responsible for whether they hear us or not?
No.
So can you detach from whether they hear you or not?
I guess.
And that's the hard part. That's the challenge. That's what you're saying is, well, if you don't do this, you're wrong. And if you do this, you're wrong. Do spirits decide right and wrong?
No.
It's humans who become fractionalized. And fractionalized mean a portion of. You're how old?
Sure.
I know I'm not allowed to ask. So you're 18 plus.
Yes.
So you're 18 plus. You're 18 plus. So if somebody who's 60, sometimes they think you're not so right. Now, there's a difference between wisdom and perspective and paying attention. Most people say, oh, with wisdom comes age. That's a lie and a hell. You know how many old idiots I've met? And wisdom does not come with age. paying attention. That's why you could have a 6-year-old and go, oh, they're an old soul. The most difficult thing for anyone to do is what you did yesterday. You stood up for yourself. You decided to take control of yourself for a day, and you rather enjoyed it by disconnecting. The best way out of any situation is to go in.
Yeah, I disconnected because I got work to do. I'm like, I'd rather take action on changing something. And if I'm upset and if I'm angry and if I'm in my emotions, I don't feel like I can move forward or change anything.
So, sun versus the moon, who's right?
Both.
Yeah, but most people want to decide who's right.
Uh-huh.
Sun versus moon. Which one's stronger? Does the sun chase away the moon or does the moon chase away the sun? Well, that's just stupid. Is it? There is a flow. And when they learn to work together, sometimes the moon is out when the sun is out. Does anybody laugh at the moon going, the moon's out, it isn't shining any light? Well, the moon has no light. But yet the moon does create a lot of romance. And so does the sunset. And the sun in the middle of the day, everybody complains, oh my God, it's so hot out. I'm not going out for a walk. It's new. It's 100 degrees out. Do you think the sun goes, oh, nobody wants, but all the plants need me and I'm drying up the ground from the people that had the tsunami and I'm trying to do it. I can't, I'm trying to do what's right. The sun goes, stay inside, you fool. Or come on outside. I don't care. Get sunburned. Don't get sunburned. Can you be you in all of this craziness? Can you be you? Can you take a time to take care of you? Because here's the reality. Are you not the consciousness of this world? The entire world. Are you not the consciousness of it? You are. Are you not the eyes of this world? You are. And so am I. And so is everybody else on this call. And so is everybody else, the consciousness of the world. The challenge is that sometimes there's tremors, but it's not the consciousness. Everyone can see the fear. Everyone can see the crack. Nobody's saying walk away from it. Why do we build houses on the edge of shores and we know that there's going to be storms and we all go, oh, the storms are terrible. Well, you built your house there, knucklehead. How many people have built themselves on the edge of frustration? And when frustrations, they show up, they go, how the hell is this possible? You built the house on the edge of frustration. Yeah, but that's not how it's supposed to be. Okay.
Because I feel that I need that focus and that, like turning inward and having that isolation, but at the same time, I would feel guilty for disconnecting.
Yeah, but which part of you feels guilty? The one that you were told says you need to pick a side? You just said there are no sides. Can you become the whole? And in you being the whole, can't you help others find their own place of peace? Because you being out of peace, does that serve you?
No, it exhausts me.
It exhausts you. So do you choose to be exhausted? Yeah, but
I feel like I have to
do
speak
something.
up.
Yes, you have. But can you speak up from a place of exhaustion?
No.
Can you be heard from a place of no volume?
No.
No, so you have to do the toughest thing. You have to stand up. In order for you to stand up, you have to be fully charged. And fully charged, can you be seen? Can you be heard? Can you use your beauty, your God-given gift that others don't have? Can you use it to stand in a place of joy? Can you use your voice? How many languages do you speak?
4.5.
Yeah, exactly. So somebody who speaks more than 2 languages is called a polyglot. Somebody who speaks 2 languages is called bilingual. You know what we call somebody who speaks 1 language? American. So, And you know that because that's a European joke that we tell about Americans all the time. So you speak 4.5 languages. You know what? I would say you'd speak 5.5 languages. You know what the fifth one is? Maybe you forgot to add in there. Begins with an L. Love.
Yeah.
When you sit with your dad in your frustration and you still love him, you speak that language. So I say all of this to say, I would learn to speak the language that doesn't need translation. How many times have you been the translator for somebody in the languages that are not your mother tongue, right? You've had somebody who needed to speak this language and they came to you, they go, well, Julian can speak that. And so you heard one language, you understood that, then took that language and turned it into another language. You've done that, haven't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know that because I'm usually the one, I can't speak Italian, but I understood Italian and I could speak enough Italian to somebody who understands Italian to speak Swedish. Well, that's not even any of my languages, and all it is a transference of vibration. So what vibration do you want to transfer? When this is all said and done 100 years from now, everybody will still be arguing over what's right or wrong. But the planet is still moving forward, and there's going to be a new story that exists. That'll be a history we can guide things from. This is all becoming history. What happened 2 days ago was still history. The reason it's still real and raw is because it's still real and raw because we haven't decided that this isn't working on either side. And this too shall pass. It will change. Now the question is what is the resistance that's happening? Somebody's going to give. And I hope the right side gives. I hope we give. I hope we understand, because there is an understanding, a level of understanding that needs to happen. But imagine you being a teacher, right? How many of us have ever had a teacher in school that said, "You're wrong"? Made us really want to go back to class. So I applaud you for having the confrontational conversations that you're having externally, internally. And what you did yesterday made you feel guilty. Guilty is an action, but was it guilt or shame, which Brene Brown talks about? Feeling guilt is not a bad thing. It moves us into action. Shame causes us to think we're the problem. I would venture to say, Julia, you are not the problem. You are the cure. But how many times when we've heard in medicine, well, we'll try this and then we'll try that and we'll see how you react and we'll try this until we find the right cure. I would encourage you, continue on that journey. If you found yesterday that you finally felt clear and finally felt that might be the cure you need to do again. Yeah, but that's not what everybody's using. This isn't about everybody. This is about you.
Yeah, because I feel like when I'm on there and reacting to everything and trying to educate people, like I'm exhausted and I literally feel like this is in my body, like I'm stressed and I'm angry and I'm frustrated. But like you said, and you had that conversation before as well, when you're immobilized, there's not a lot that we can do, but there's so much going on and
but there's so much we can do. There's so much we can do. We can send out our 50 messages of love, of joy. We have a global platform where we can pour into people. Listen, and I mean this with all love and respect. If somebody gets a video from you, there's a lot of neat things about getting a video from you. There just is. Because they don't normally probably get videos, but this is for all of you. If you sent out videos of saying, hey, listen, I was just thinking of you, I love you. And that's it. I love you. Won't that change their energetic feeling? Listen, you could send that. Ladies, this happens in our business. Some of your social medias get guys to think, oh, wow, she posted that picture just for me. Yeah, there's 400 likes. They posted it just for you, you idiot. And then they try to call you and go, yo, baby, what's up, girl? I don't know. But My point is that when you tell people, if they're truly your friends and you say, I love you, it has to awaken that part of love for them to hear it. Otherwise, they're not the friend you thought they were. And I think, right? Gandhi said it best, an eye for an eye will leave the whole world blind. Be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change you want to see in the world. And you're working on that. And yesterday you were the change, quiet, getting back into peace, getting back into joy, because it's difficult to do things when your hands are tied. Yes, but there has to be more. Ask the sun to be more. Ask the tree that's outside your house, be more. Well, what the hell? I'm a tree. I'm doing the best I can. I put leaves out. I give you shade. What do you want? In the winter, I lose my leaves and I die. I come back. I would encourage you to take care of you, and you'll be surprised at the things that flow into your life that allow you to continue to be the global thought leader that you are. Interviews will show up. People will want to begin to interview you. People will want to have conversations with you. I would start interviewing other people and have a dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
We have global platforms that would allow us to begin to share a vibration that might have an influence that could bring about change.
Yeah, and I will definitely, be in peace. But what's the difference between being in peace and speaking up against injustice?
Can you speak in peace about it?
Yes.
Isn't all injustice a lack of love?
Yes.
I know that kind of just makes it real sophomoric, but that's what it is.
But one injustice is more intense than the other.
So is wanting justice, is it wanting pain or wanting love?
Wanting love.
So then why not just speak of love?
And it's really hard being on social media, speaking in love all the time.
That's social media, that's programming. How many posts of joy do you think they keep from being seen?
Yeah. Yeah, wow, that's true.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh. Yes, you can be in such a rage that you want more love, but it's always going to have to become that's like saying, can I be oil and water and together? You can be together, but they'll always be separate. The anger is that can you be stronger in love? Yes, you can. Is anger?
Yeah, but like even Jesus, that was all love. Sometimes he was a savage.
He lost his shit and he destroyed a temple. I get it. I get it. I totally get it. But then he also what? Died on a cross. Can you destroy, but are you willing to die for it? Most people aren't willing to die for it. They're willing to complain about it. That's why people like Martin Luther King becomes an icon, because somebody took his life too early. George Floyd becomes an icon because somebody took his life too early. Neither one of them voluntarily carried the cross. The ultimate.
What's the message we can, because this business, the source of it is about love. How can we spread that message and not making it sound like capitalism or that it's about the money, but it's about building people and healing?
So let me be very clear on this. I can't spread the message. I can't spread that message because I am not you. I don't look like you. I don't sound like you, although a lot of me would love to look like you and sound like you. But I can't. I'm not your skin color. I'm not your background. I'm not your religion. I'm not all of these things. I'm not you, the soul and the cells that sit before me. So for me to try to give you what the message would be, that would be the biggest form of absolute white privilege. I can only sit here and love you and say, share with me what you might say. And I might be able to say, is there another way to say that? But your message, every one of your messages is your message. I know what I can do. I know what I'm capable of. But for me to even for a blink of an eye, half of a heartbeat, to guess what, because there's thousands of years of your story being built up. But there will be people who will say, here's what I think you should say. If I knew that, there'd be a whole nother universe that I created. And I ain't that person. I know that. And for me to think, well, it would serve you if you did this. Here's what I do know. I know that when you and I have conversations and your heart hurts, that I want to help with. When your brain hurts, that I want to help with. Can I tell you how to fix it? I can be the rails and say, you might want to check about this or ask you questions, because we forgot our own joy. And that's where you struggled. Yesterday, you sat quietly and you found your joy. And then a part of you said, yeah, but I'm guilty about this. I need to be more. You can't be more than joy. Anything less is less than joy. Listen, George Campbell says, all we can be is the lighthouse for those who are taking the hero's journey and go, there's some rocks over there. I can walk with you, Julia. I can stand next to you. I can stand next to you in a parade, in a riot, on a stand, social media. And all I can say to you, my love, is there's some rocks over there. I don't know whether those are good rocks. They're filled with gold, and if lightning hits them, the gold will come out. But more often than not, the rocks that we look to avoid, sometimes they have our gold buried inside of them. Sometimes they're the rocks we need to remove. Sometimes they're the damn rocks that put a hole in the ship. But when approaching the rocks, it serves us well to do it slowly. And then in the darkness, it serves to have the light. Even the lighthouse just doesn't go in one direction. It rotates. Because we don't know who's looking for it. And that's why I say, when you get into your state of your highest energy of joy, you become this lighthouse, and there will be people that find you that never had a chance to find you. There are people who are looking for every one of you on this call right now. There are people who are absolutely praying for you, the listener right now, to show up in your world, to show up in their world. They want to flow into your world. They need somebody like you. They are absolutely lost at sea. And our lighthouses are sometimes these little candles that are flickering. And it's time to burn them. It's time to light them on fire. But you can't light them underneath somebody else's basket. And some of us have been stuck under somebody else's basket, and we're hoping somebody else will move it. Well, nobody's coming to move the basket. They want you under that basket. They need you under that basket. And it's the only way that basket is going to burn off is when you light your fire. And when you light your fire, when you lit your fire doing nothing yesterday, did not your flame burn a little bit brighter inside you? See, sometimes in doing nothing, we can burn off the fear and doubt. And now you get on social media and say, listen, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if I have an opinion one way or the other. Listen, because I don't know, there's not a whole lot of you out there, but there's a whole bunch of you out there that are white and black. And in this white and black, you want to talk about challenges? Every other step, I'm lost. And guess what you'll start to find? You'll start to find your tribe of white and black. And people are like, girl, man, I don't know, because I was lost. Because you're the one that has to walk the tightrope, not only energetically, but not only physically. But there's so many discriminations about you, girl. Yeah, and listen, I don't know the slang that they call you, right? Hi, this and that and the other, and all of a sudden it's like you can't even be in one place and not be in that place. You're never in any place. That'd be like me being boy and girl. Although there's some of that, and we call them freaks, right? So no matter where you go, my love, because of the fractioning of you, a 50-50. Listen, I'm part male, part female because my mom and dad made me. Did you all know we all started off as female anyways? All of us are in the womb where we all start off as female. And at some point during mom's gestation, she gets this flood of testosterone. Thank God, because that makes up us goofballs. It's probably when mom was doing something stupid. But you live in a whole nother world. I can only speak to you in love. I can't speak to you with the challenges that you've had to deal with on a daily, by second basis. I would encourage you to find your tribe. Do you know other white and black kids?
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's even here on the call, but it's even white and black. You're still black, but it's just with everything that's
I
going
get it,
on.
but you have to deal with a whole nother thing because in some circles, well, we half like you. What the hell? Right? You get accepted in. I can't even begin to imagine that level of racism. And that was before anything happened. So I would encourage you, because that's something that I don't know how you can even begin to pick a side in any way, in anything. And it's not about sides, because when we go back to human, here's the neat thing. If our blood matches up, I could give you my heart, couldn't I? I could give you a kidney, couldn't I? The question is, would you accept it? And that's the challenge. If we can't be accepted, we're going to fight to be rejected. And that's where the challenge lies. You have this, and so let's see. So if we're going to talk about ways people find fault with you, okay, so you're this and you're this, you're half and half, but you're 100% beautiful in the eyes of what we've described as beauty. Okay, so now I got to deal with that. Oh, she's this and that and that. Oh my God. And then she's got, and look, all her teeth are there. Oh my God. And she's got pierced ears that carry these big old hoops. Oh my gosh. And she's got a waist on her like, oh. Man, let me just go get my BB gun and just shoot at everything that's not right. Did you all see Evelyn's picture yesterday in that dress that she had on? Ay, caramba. So when can this outside beauty start to flow from the inside out, not the outside in?
Yeah, and I mean, it's not about me. It's just how do we show up?
But it is. Listen, my love, that's what I'm saying. I want it to be about you. I want you to take care of you. And the second you can take care of you, the second you can have that awakening that Britnee had, it's like, I'll be damned. So that's what they meant. All of a sudden, all of these conversations that we had, she's like, I get it. Son of a biscuit eater. Are you kidding me? You know how many times they said that to me? And I'll keep saying it to you, Julia. You're an amazing soul, full of energy, full of love. And this just downloaded to me. I don't know if it's true or not. But your 100% love has always been divided. They've always wondered, what half of you loved me? Does that make sense?
How do you mean exactly?
Where's your love coming from? The black side or the white side? That just downloaded me, and that hit me like a lightning bolt. I'm like, oh my gosh, they can't even accept your love without trying to qualify it. Because see, I didn't know. I'm a farm boy from Ohio. I didn't know. I mean, I know I know they're out there. They're out there, right? White and black and half and whatever other names there are. But to me, you're this amazing soul. And I'm not sure when I crossed over to that's a definition. I deal in the energetic world. I deal in the supernatural world, because you are supernatural.
Is it really that simple? Like we're all souls? Because it's right now here on this call, I'm at peace, and it's easy to say that. But as soon as you have interaction with other people,
let's go to Joe Dispenza. Your personal reality makes up your personality. This personal reality of love and joy that's on here allows your personality to be you. But soon as you leave this call, your words, the world shows up. Now your personality, your personal reality changes your personality. Which is stronger?
Wow.
So is it that simple? Yes. Is it easy? Until.
And Sean, can I say something?
Yes, Corinne. Hello, my love.
Hi. I just wanted to say that, yeah, it is that easy as far as like, I'm American and Black, and I live in San Diego, and it's really white here. and it's okay. Like, I know, like, there's riots going on everywhere, and I know, like, and my heart's beating so hard right now, but I just know, like, that it's a choice. Like, and it really hit me when you said, and I wrote it down, most people are victims or offenders. When you choose joy, you escape the cycle. You know, I'm either going to continue to be the victim as a Black person, or I'm going to be the offender by rioting and doing whatever is the rioters want to do. But I choose to choose joy. I choose to love. I love Sean, not because he's white or Black, because he's spirit and he's me and I'm part of him. And it's like I choose joy. I want to be free. I don't want this, because it's only going to become another cycle if we continue, and I choose joy. So that's what I want to say.
And Corinne, I appreciate you saying that, because I know sometimes my words, as wonderful as they may sound and hit on the ears, the visual of the white guy in Dallas, Texas, sitting in his house in a studio, well, there's just 800 levels of privilege going on there. So that's why when you all ask me, well, what can I do? God, I don't know. I honestly don't, because I can't even begin to imagine the narrative that has existed in your world. But I can say this: if it's wanting to have more love, that we can have a dialogue about. When you ask the question, Julia, well, on this call I feel good, but when I leave, listen, then I would avoid the things, and avoiding things that take you out of love doesn't mean you're not doing something. Because this is about you energetically in the world. If we all believe that our thoughts influence the day, can our emotions influence the world? This is what makes you the world changer. This is what makes Corinne the world changer. This is what makes every one of you the world changer. Because either you change the world or the world changes you. And man, that sounds like an unfair deal, but right now it's visual, it's audible, it's energetic, and sometimes it's even palpable, the taste of pain. Right? How many times have we ever started to get sick or in pain where nothing tasted good? It changes the chemical structure in our bodies. It's why sometimes people have called me a dream pharmacist. You help me write the prescription to begin to live my dreams in this world and in reality, and not in another world. Does that help? Because here's what I know. I need you to hear this. You asking these questions, you teaching me. It's why I sign when I do work with my students, I sign it your friend and student. I am your student, Julia. There's some wisdom I let you walk away with. You choose whether to walk with it or not. I am every moment your student. And being a good student of you, I get to remind you of some things maybe you have forgotten about as the teacher. Because you are this incredible teacher. And you will do so for eons.
Can showing love be aggressive love as well? Like when you have to correct people sometimes though? Like how do you show love in every situation? That's always the solution.
So ask them, what's the one question I ask people? Let's go back to prospecting, because isn't this prospecting at the highest form? When somebody comes to me with their story, I say, let me ask you, how long do you think you'd want to own that story?
Yeah, but you make it seem also simple, Sean, but like racism, like some injustices are just so deep, like such a deep part of certain people that it's very hard to show love.
I get it. So have there been injustices done to you?
Yeah, I mean, not as bad as.
I wanted you to hear it, but yes. So how can you still be in a state of love? Because is the injustice happening this second? Yes. To you, yes. Because I don't know, is there any point where you're either going to be all black or all white, or are you going to be this black and white for the rest of your life?
Black and white.
Yeah. And so is not that injustice of somebody's thought process of that going to happen to you all for the rest of your life? I hope there's a day we say until, but that doesn't seem like it's going to happen in your generation. So how do you deal with that? How do you deal with that injustice? Is it what I think of you, or is it more what you think of you? So if it's what you think of you, how does any injustice get fixed?
By changing the way we think about ourselves.
And so if we begin to change the way we think about ourselves, isn't the injustice when somebody tells us the way we should think about ourselves? I know it seems so simple, but at some point it will be. Because here's what I know. The common enemy, if aliens all of a sudden came down on this planet, there'd be some people that'd be running to the alien ship. And when they suck their brain out, right, we'd all be going, ooh, we got to fight them. All of this would disappear when we were in the fight for our life. You want to know how real this is? People wanted to end themselves, you know why it's so hard to go in a bathtub without cutting your wrists and drowned? Because the body goes, screw you, mind. And it gasps for air. Sit there and try to hold your breath for 10 minutes. Your body's going to go, and you're going to go, well, yeah, but I just wanted to, I wanted to just hold my breath for 10 minutes. It goes, no. So there's another consciousness that resides inside of us. And it is called life. Can you choose life? Because when you're in these states, help me with this, when you're in these states of frustration and fear and aggravation and something has to be done, are you living?
Sean, can I say something?
Sure, please.
I feel that what is going on, and like I shared before, I have been in a position of injustice, either or side, right? But I think we are the ones who are judging ourselves by judging others, saying that they have to speak up because we feel that we need to speak up. And sometimes speaking up is about also speaking up love.
It's up to us if we choose the battle of the war or the battle of the love. And either or, sorry, all this mess. And either or,
Wait a minute.
we
That
are
was a
fighting,
judgment. It was a judgment. Your hair is
right?
beautiful. All this mess.
But Julia is okay. I don't think we need to educate every single person. I think it's a personal thing. And as long as you're staying in the right side and the honest side for you, you're adding value to the world. You don't have to pick the side that you have to fight, because staying in your ground and loving yourself and being peaceful with yourself, because the one that is judging yourself because you're not posting, because you're not saying, because you're not educating, it's you. So you also can choose on giving love and educating in a loving way, and educating in different ways, and not judging yourself because you're not in the streets hitting and not in the streets fighting. You're fighting. I am fighting, and you don't see me posting a lot of stuff of that, but I'm fighting.
Yeah, because
I am fighting in prayer. I am fighting, excuse me?
no, that's the thing. I've been posting, I've been reacting, and it's so exhausting, and I'm so angry and frustrated. And I don't feel like I can function. I'm doing
You're
that.
filling up yourself with, I can see in your face, you are aggravated. Why you don't drop that bag of anger and frustration? Drop it. How about you drop it at the door? You go outside, you drop it outside the door, and then you come back here inside your room, and then you just feel the peace and joy that you want. And that's what you're going to share, instead of sharing so much and educating so much. And just do what it makes you feel happy, because you being happy and sharing it through the world or through your social media or whatever your platform is, you're also educating. You're also being part of the solution, and not in this hate, because I see many people, we're forgetting about what this is all about. And this is all about not skin or color. It's about respect and love. And because Peronita is not the saying nothing, so I'm aggravating the other one because it's staying silent, it's also being rude, and it's also not saying nothing. It's not saying nothing. It doesn't mean that you don't care, or it doesn't mean that you are not fighting. You being happy and you being loved, you're going to give more, and you're going to do more to others than being in this state of anger and this state of unfairness, and this state, because that's what we project into others. And our energy matters to the world, and our energy matters to the people that is around us, and the energy matters to the people that you are attracting.
Julia, do you know the name Florence Nightingale?
Florence Nightingale? Nightingale, yeah, but I'm not sure who Florence Nightingale is.
So Florence Nightingale was the nurse, right? That's what all nurses talk about, Florence Nightingale. And Florence Nightingale, listen, you might be the Florence Nightingale of your time. And you know what she did? She went and took care of the sick, the wounded. She was the first woman to go to the front lines of the battle and say, they need help. She wasn't in the fight. She was playing the mother of kissing the wounds and healing the sick and giving them a chance to live on. Maybe, and that was the toughest job to do as a nurse. They don't cause the pain, but they're the ones that try to heal it. Right, wrong, or indifferent, a nurse in the ER is trying to save a life. We'll let justice take care of them later. But in the ER, so you're dealing with the ER right now. And can you give a kiss on the head and pat them on the head when they're hurting? So you, in not doing nothing, is sometimes the hardest thing to do. It takes the most strength to stay in love, to stay in joy, because you're letting yourself become less. Is it okay if you become more? In this moment in history, Julia, is it okay if you begin to live your God-given quest, your higher energy quest of joy.
Yeah. I mean, not doing nothing, just doing less of what I see is not effective and
Yeah, but
immobilizing me.
this is that phrase I always say, become more by doing less.
Mm.
And that's what you're doing. You're becoming more. More of you. And from more of you, you can then serve more of everything else.
Mm.
Yes, Bakumi, jump in.
Hi, Julia. Literally everything you're saying, I was feeling this whole week. So when you were talking about the anger and the frustration, I was like, oh my God. Because even today, I was angry when I looked at my phone. I immediately felt angry, so I had to just turn it off, and it's been off since. But I know what you mean when it comes to like the whole posting and the whole like the judgment, and it's like, am I posting because I want to post, or is it because I'm posting so other people don't think I'm not trying to fight? And of course I want to fight because I don't want to look at this every day. Like I don't want to see the killings. I don't want to see this injustice. I don't want to see this. And it's frustrating because it feels like I can't do the right thing in order to fight. And if I do this thing, will people think it's the right type of fighting? It's just like my whole like mind is like in cahoots with each other, and it's just understanding. I think I'm beginning to understand that the best way for you to fight will not be the same way that someone else will fight. And when I say that, I mean in the sense like right now, some of my friends have gone to protest, but I didn't feel it in my heart to protest. And other people will think, why would you not protest? Why would you not stand there? Why would you not be with us? And it was because I just felt like, even though this is a whole week of protesting and everything, I knew that this is not just going to be like a week-long thing. Like this is going to be like a decades like revolution thing. That this is not something that we can just fix in 1 week. We can't just fix it in 1 day. So I understood that my role in this is long-term, and the people that I want to influence is going to be long-term. And I had to be okay with the fact that my friends are going to be like, you need to post about this, you need to post about this. Like I've not posted like a massive amount of it, and even when I did, it just made me more angry. So I was like, this is not really working for me. But I had to know that what I wanted to do was influence people's hearts and people's minds, and that was not something that you can fix in 1 week, and that's not something you can fix in 1 day. That's something that will be able to change change the lives of their children and their children and their children. That's generational. So it's okay for you not to do things just because everyone else is doing it in the short term, because you know that the love that you can have for other people can be in the long term. And I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense, but but I understand the anger and I understand the frustration, and that can be used, and that could be used through love. Like you can show that through your love, because you're not just gonna let this stand. Like I know in your face that you're like, I'm not just gonna let this happen. Like this is not gonna go on for much longer. So it can be used through love, but the best way to do it is through love, because otherwise it's just pain against pain, and more violence gets more violence, and it won't go anywhere, and it will just become more chaos, which is what we're seeing now on the streets sometimes, where it's just people's pain and people's anger, and it's just coming together. It's just becoming more and more chaotic, and there's no love, there's no there's no forgiveness that people want to do. No one wants to forgive, no one wants to actually heal through this. So understanding that I can use my anger in the right way and do it through love, and I can change and influence people's hearts through the business. Like you empowering other people will empower their children and empower other people's lives that they will touch. That's influencing the Black community itself. Like that's influence, that's empowering our lives. Like that is all part of the fight. Like it's not just a fight against like the law and everything. It's also influencing our own community. Like we have to influence because we are so divided. Like we can see it in ourselves. Like we are so divided. So influencing each other and bringing unity back to our community itself is so powerful. And you doing that, like you may think it's a small role, but it's not. You influencing people and you empowering their lives and just spreading love in a time where it's just full of pain, it's more powerful than you think. Like so much more powerful than you think. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that made sense, but I just had to say that. But yeah, I see the pain. Honestly, I see it, and Woo, it's a lot to see on social media, but you can use it. You can use it for the right way. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, thank you so much, Bukumi. And that's really what I try to do as well, focus on unity and love. And that's what we learn how to do. And thank you so much, Sean, for, bringing us back to that place of peace and love. But yeah.
Well, so what I see on social media is hope. People who have never presented before, who've never spoken out before on social media are doing it because they're trying to find a place. And even if it seems like there's nothing good or bad, there's nothing good or bad. There just is. It's how we look at it, right? For those fish that live at the bottom of the ocean where there is no light and light comes down, they're like, that's horrible. What is that? Ugh. Right? There just is. And when I see all of the pain on social media, it gives me hope that we can go serve them. Won't stay in pain with them. Can't bring me down there. But if there's a hole that's open, what can it be filled with? And that's what this crying out is for on social media. Listen, I can't even get into the argument of racial discrimination and everything else. I've said this before. I'm as white as privileged as possible. But why would I sit here and have these conversations of high energy, of potentially of high volatility? Because it can only burn from one side. I get it. I get it that there's hurt. I get it that there's pain. But me jumping in the hurt with you, me saying, well, let me explain to you how you start to control the white man. Forget it. And again, all of these identifications, these fractions of a humanity, these fractions of a human being, of describing them, we're humans. You need my blood. We're both, listen, it's the only A+ I've ever had in my life. It's why I can remember my blood type. I'm A positive. So if you're A positive, you get my blood. When I go donate blood, do I go, listen, who's getting this? There are some people who ask that. Talk about insanity. So here's the thing. You can stand in a place, you and Eve can stand in this place with your beauty, with your words, with your joy, and go, well, I wonder how they're dealing with it. And find your tribe, because Julia, I promise you, there are women, there are men, the good guys, there are women who would love to be able to have a conversation with you on how you can stay so positive and how you can stand through this. And you can say, listen, it ain't easy. It's not that I'm like willy-nilly head in the sand, but I'm willing to have a dialogue, not a debate, a dialogue of energetic levels to serve humanity.
That's good.
And you deserve that right. And there are things you have been through. Listen, your dad's a little older than most dads, right? Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, talk about the girl who got handed the cards that's like, I got a 2, a 10, a 9, and a queen, and a joker. I don't even know how the joker got in the deck. You don't even have a hand that's worth making a bet at the turn on. But yet you've made this hand that has this heart that it holds, one of the most beautiful on the planet. And you did that, Julia. You have done it more than the people who are running around the streets screaming and hollering, going, I want justice. You deserve to be out there more than anyone. Yet you can stand in this place of love. You can stand in this place of honor and respect and help those who are looking for somebody who's been through the battle. You've been through the battle since the moment you became aware. Some of these people are just showing up because it was like, wait, hey, let's go for a walk. They had to get 10,000 steps on their Fitbit and they ran outside. I'm glad that makes you smile.
But it's true.
I don't know if it's not, but I know if we got to break the tension somewhere. Like, what was this? I thought this was like we were going to the mall. Mm-mm. So I love you. I'm honored to know you.
Thank you, Sean. Love you too.
Samantha Willie, what you got for us, girl?
Hi, Sean. Hi, everyone.
Hello, Samantha.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Sean. Really blessed with messages. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear us?
Oh, okay. I'm new to this. Through your teachings, I've been able to get out of my old stories. So this is new for me. I never get out on social media. Never, ever. This is so new to me. But you know what? I've been on the internet for many years. You know, this is my story. I sell online, but unfortunately, I never did it under my name. It's like hiding. It's like I never came out. And most of my customers, they don't look like me. Almost over 1,000 customers that I have. And they're like, they don't know who I am. They really don't know who I am, but I just feel like it really doesn't matter. Right now, I feel like it doesn't matter. I need to come out.
And so how does that sit with you?
Well, it's kind of like I feel like although this is my work, this is my career, what I do, but I also feel like you don't want to be hiding, you know, like you want to come out. But at the same time, sometimes, unfortunately, I feel like you have to hide your identity in order to move forward.
Well, that's true with every breath. That's what's called personal undevelopment, or this journey to find our joy, is we're hiding from our own self every day. Now, I will say this. Right now, the clients that you have, they provide you a way to take care of you and your family. Yes.
Right.
So because of the tensions, right? So I'm going to talk to you as a business owner. Can I talk to you as a business owner?
Yes.
If you were going to go do marketing that could potentially change your business, would you want to do the marketing that would enhance your business or reduce your business?
Enhance.
Okay. So we're talking just business. We're not talking you, this powerful, strong woman that's sitting in front of me. In letting everybody know who you are, could that affect your family in a negative way?
No.
Then don't be waiting.
Okay.
Because you didn't start off hiding in this environment.
No.
Right? So when I say you telling your 1,000 clients who you are, I'd make it an event. Make it an event. I'd give them a reason to absolutely become enthralled with it, because here's the thing. Have you gotten any testimonials for all of the people who have used your product? Have you gotten any kind of testimonials of how people love your stuff?
Yes.
That's what I would be telling the story. Because this isn't about you. It's about the same thing. It's not about the money. It's about what they got from the money. This isn't about you, but it's about what they got from you.
Right.
And so now I would leverage all of those stories, and I would leverage those stories and teach other women who are hiding. Because see, you can teach this whole story.
Yeah.
And it could be a whole nother business for you. Not saying you want another business, but Samantha, you being able to say, I had a pen name. You're like every amazing author that's ever existed going, but their real name was, but their pen name was this. This is what they wrote under.
Yeah.
Right. And that's all you did was, and I would figure out what the story was, is why you started off with a pen name, with a pseudonym. And what was the reason behind you showing up as this, as your pen name, as your face, as the face of your company, versus where you're at now? And the reason is so that you could ensure that you got all of these kinds of testimonials that serve people.
Yeah.
And because this is the first time we've had
Before I started,
Go ahead.
I started online, I used to be going to customers' houses, and most of my customers, they don't look like me. But a lot of times when I enter, they were like always like shocked or surprised. I don't know why, but they were always. I mean, it's funny. I don't get it. It's like, people are people to me, and yes, I know they are the kind of people that need my service, but at the same time, I just don't know why this surprise. And when I started online, I just decided I'm not going to put up my photo or anything, and somehow I think, like not having my photo, not knowing who I am, would be better for me. Not that I want to hide, but I would feel like sometimes people like you scare them, or I don't know.
So here's the question. Could there be a chance? Might there be do you know who you are?
Excuse me?
Do you know who you are?
Oh, yeah.
So does it matter what I think of you?
No.
So then does it matter that anybody who uses your service, what they think of you?
I don't know.
And so now let me ask you another tough question. Do you think if somebody knows who you are, do you think that their ignorance might keep them from the value you have to provide them?
No.
Okay. And that's a very simple answer.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this. I'm going to go out on a ledge, and I'm going to have some of the young ladies who are on here, it might serve them well to connect with you, because I'm guessing you might be a little over 20, right? But there is a wisdom that resides inside of you, Samantha. Yes. That only your time on this planet has allowed you to receive.
Right.
And there is wisdom you can speak into. You can speak to some of these young girls that a white guy from Texas ain't never going to understand.
Right.
And so there is a joy that resides inside of you that I can't give to anybody. So you have done well in this world by doing what you do well. You have probably had more proverbial sticks and stones thrown at you than they will ever imagine. Now, they probably get more sticks and stones because of social media.
Yeah.
But not the same kinds of things that you've had to deal with growing up. So there is a wisdom that you can share with the world if you choose to, and you have to, but there's a wisdom that only you can speak from called your story.
Right.
So I'm so honored to have you here. I'm so honored that you shared, and I'm looking forward to more moments to where you get to influence us in a way that brings about joy and love. You're just this amazing soul, this incredible smile.
Oh, thank you.
Y'all give some love up to Samantha. She's just incredible.
We love you, Samantha.
Love you, Samantha.
You're so strong.
Thanks so much.
I love you, Samantha.
Love
you, Samantha.
Thank you, Rhonda.
Love you, Samantha. Thank you.
Thank you.
I thought, Corin, when it was whatever the I guess that's maybe a chair, but it looked like a crown you were wearing because it was just the half holes. I'm like, is that like a filter she's got on? She's got like this half crown on. RBP, I'm going to let you wrap us up. Ugh, he does that to me every time.
I know. You put me on after somebody like Samantha. What? What? Oh my gosh. So how many are left here?
18.
18 people left. 18 people looking for how to spread more love and more joy and more freedom. So that's a pretty good representation of what it's like when you narrow it down to people who really, really are focused in on what could actually make a change. And it's becoming more and doing less. Sean said this months ago before any of this stuff broke out. For any of this stuff, COVID, anything. Sean said, do less and become more. And that's exactly what we're hearing over and over and over. It's what we saw with Britnee today on the couch. It's what Samantha's talking about. It's what Gigi talked about. Everybody that's spoken. It's just like what Corin said, where she goes, I choose to sit in love and joy.
I'm in this for the long term.
Yes. And that's it. And that's why we're still here. I'm still here. I'm ready to, I needed to pee an hour and a half ago and I haven't gone yet. And that's why y'all see me jumping around and I was like, oh my, that and the supplements I'm taking. I'm like, I gotta go pee. But I couldn't leave this conversation because what's more important than taking care of that is hearing this conversation and learning how to become more. And the change you want, it starts right here. It said it in the good book. And Michael Jackson had a fabulous song. He's one of my favorites. It's The Man in the Mirror. And we're sitting here talking about the man in the mirror, the woman in the mirror, and how we can become more. And by becoming more, things will change because of the joy that sits with us and overflows out of us onto everybody else that comes in contact with us and our energy. And I have to commend everybody that's here, including myself, for sticking around and listening to each one of us. Look at what you did. You sat since 8:30 till 12:13 on my clock right now. You sat willing to hear what you needed to hear, willing to allow your heart to absorb it, willing to get your head out of the way to where your heart could hear even more from people totally opposite than yourself, totally opposite than myself, so we can become more and become the movement of joy and love that this world needs. And I love that. Y'all, we got our hands up. I said it earlier, we got our hands up. And every time somebody comes by and pushes on our hand, we're not going to push them back. We're going to let them follow into us, and we're going to love them and require nothing else from them except to sit in our love. If they choose to accept it, great. If they don't, great. We will remain in love. We will remain in joy. And we will wait for the next person with our hand up. And as they come by and they push against it, we'll let them fall into our arms. We see it modeled. We see how it pays off for Sean. We see how he can have conversations that are heated, and he can do it in love. May we all be able to learn the application that we've seen on this call and utilize it. It's good for me. Let me tell y'all, I got some people in my life, I put my hand up, I'm like, I don't know if I want to put my hand up right now. I don't know. I kind of want to put my hand in my pocket. And I do it anyway. So when they come and push, I can learn something from that. And it can reveal to me a place that needs a little bit more work on my part to make sure I'm walking in forgiveness and spreading that joy and that love and choosing to remain in it while I do. So I hope this has resonated with y'all the way it has for me. I couldn't put y'all down. I've had to take y'all in there to do the dishes and eat again. I mean, like, I sat here today eating lunch, and I'm like, you know what? I got to eat 2 meals with my family today. I got to have breakfast with y'all, and I got to have lunch with y'all. That's the best breakfast and lunch date I've had in a long time. And I thank you for that. So thank you for sharing your time and your space, and I love y'all.
Every one of you are breathing in faith and courage. Exhale fear and doubt in my way, and we'll take care of it. I love y'all. I'm Sean Murphy, your head misfit. I'll see y'all where?
At the next event.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Thank you.
Love y'all.
Bye. Thank you guys.
Tomorrow.
Thank you.
You guys are
Love
so
and
beautiful. I love seeing
Thank
your
you,
faces.
Sean. So much. I love
Have a
you.
great day.
Thank
Have a great
you.
day.
Love y'all.
Love
Bye.
you.
Bye for now.
Bye, y'all. Have an amazing day. Bye.